Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 232 and we're your hosts Jake
and Matt
and producer
Tyson.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, you can hear him but you can't see him today. Guys, Serie A is officially back and we had our first match day and we were not disappointed, man. What a match day it was.
It was very, very exciting from beginning to end. The big dogs all delivered. There were some amazing goals throughout. Honestly, picking a goal of the week was hard off the bat.
Yeah, obviously, but I just hope this momentum is kept up because we've had some weeks where goal of the week was just like a tap-in or a clean finish or whatever. But guys, Serie A is back, so we are back as well. And we're back to our usual format. For those of you that are new here, perhaps, the way we do things is we cover every single match, every single team, every single week. The way that we do it is we choose a particular order for the games and we go through every single one. We go through the lineups, what changes there were to the starting 11, what injuries there are. Then we go through the play-by-play and then we discuss the talking points for every single match. All 10 of them over the course of 2 hours. So if you've got a long drive, if you've got some extra time, if your girlfriend's out and you need to choose a podcast or something, we're your guys. We keep you updated for the entire match week. I wish I could listen to us next weekend because I'm going to be abroad and unfortunately I'm missing most of the Serie A games. I can only catch the Monday ones because I'm going to be at a festival. But yes, brother, goal of the week because that's how we start every single episode.
Yes, so as I said, it was very difficult. I'm going to pull up the list of honourable mentions. Okay, so we have, of course, there was Hakan Çalhanoğlu's rocket against Monza, that's a contender. There was Esposito's back heel flick also against Monza, that was a contender too. We have Romano's long range strike on his debut against Parma for Cagliari, absolutely beautiful goal. Raspadori's proper thunderbolt against Sassuolo was also that was struck with so much venom. It was unbelievable. There was Cissé's debut goal as well against Torino for Milan. Adams' roundhouse kick against Milan. Frattesi's goal, thanks to a nice assist by Dia against Bologna. And there was, of course, Malen's first goal against Fiorentina after Dybala pulled away 4 defenders before setting up Malen, who exercised a nice bit of technique before finishing. And for me, that one is the goal of the week. It's Malen's first one. Yes, I did. I think Dybala's work was absolutely amazing, pulling 4 defenders away, and that bit of technique that Malen showed before the finish was so tidy and so natural. It was a really beautiful goal.
And the first goal, an absolute spanking that really Malen got a hat-trick in that game. So a huge statement for Gasperini, Malen and Roma. I went for Shea Adams. That's one of my favourite kind of goals you can score. Back towards goal. That kind of volley, the roundhouse kick volley looping over the keeper into the top corner. I think it simply has to be Shea Adams' goal. He looked so happy after. It was a consolation in the 93rd, 94th minute. But he couldn't quite believe it.
He couldn't. No.
I think out of the goals that were scored in match day 1, I think this one will be considered one of the goals of the season at the end of the season.
Yes, that is fair enough, bro. There were many of them that could actually make the final cut, to be honest. Of course, it's a long season, so who knows? But yes, that Adams goal was absolutely unbelievable. Pure instinct, and the athleticism as well it takes to pull off something like that. That's almost Zlatan-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of. What if we had to ask Producer Tyson? Producer Tyson, what was your goal of the week?
I think the Che Adams won it for me, especially because it also won my bet. So I'm quite happy with that last minute.
Stay tuned till the end of this episode for our new segment called Quindici, where we are all competing against each other in a betting game. We all won our bet last week, which is crazy that we all won. But Tyson won bigger and bolder. Yes.
He bought one of those, what do you call that, man? The like skateboards for your fingers, man. They're really cool in like junior 4.
No idea.
I forgot what they're called. But some guys were mental at those.
They were. They could do all the tricks.
Stay tuned till the end as well, because apart from Quindici, we also have a Fantasy League segment. brought to you by Tattico. We'll have a patron segment for that, so it's a private league where the winner wins a free kit of their choice, and then we'll have a public league where they get bragging rights and we'll post them on social media. But the real juice is in our Patreon league, so we will give you an update regarding that soon. Before we get into anything, guys, make sure you follow us absolutely everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter and YouTube, and please do drop us a rating on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, preferably 5 stars. This obviously really helps us grow. It helps motivate us as well and keep bringing you weekly quality content. If you really love us and want early access live episodes, become a patron. It's $3.99 a month, and you'll also be added to a group chat with 70 plus like-minded legends and join a fantasy league brought to you by Tattico, and even win a free kit of your choice for winning the league. We also have a free league for our listeners / non-patrons, where the winner will cement their names in the Serie A Spotlight Hall of Fame. If you want to learn how to play Tattico, please do check out our latest episode.
Yes, for maximum transparency, this episode and the previous one, we have not gone live for them because of some technical issues, but we are working on bringing that back because it is very nice to have, of course. And on the topic of Patreon, we have just had a record week of patrons. 9 new patrons in 1 week. Yes, we have 9 men that we have to shout out. Thank you very much to Michael, thank you Christos, thank you Charlie, Corey, Marco, Douglas, Zoe, Isaac and Marcus. Thank you so much. Welcome and good luck for the Fantasy League. Hopefully you guys can win this kit.
Yes, and thank you obviously for your support. Really appreciate that, and lovely having you all on the group chat already. I could see a lot of you have brought the banter in nice and early. Quick shout out goes to our media partners, Ben of a Bid. Guys, check out the link in our bio to bid on autographed items from top players, including match issued kits. If you check out their socials, you can also find real footage of the players signing off the merch. Most of the proceeds go to charity, so click the link in our bio to help make a difference and upgrade your collection. Jake, shall we start with Inter 4, Monza 1?
Of course, yes. This was a very exciting game, one that kicked off the Serie A campaign, and it was actually the 7th official meeting between Inter and Monza in Milan. Inter have now won 5 of those meetings, while Monza have won twice, and the last Monza win came in Serie A in the 2022-23 season, where they won 1-0. In the 23-24 season, Inter also hosted Monza on Matchday 1, and Inter won that game 2-0 thanks to a Lautaro Martinez brace. So those who went for Lautaro Martinez on fantasy football would have been disappointed that history did not repeat itself this time round. Yes, so Monza held out for a half this game, but Inter ended up running riot. As for the lineups, Inter were missing Mkhitaryan, who was suspended, and Curtis Jones, who has just arrived and is actually injured. Monza were missing Thiam because of yellow cards, also Motta for the same reason. Thiam, by the way, is their starting goalkeeper, and this will be an important point as we discuss further. Toure, Colombo, Pessina and Churia were also all injured, so they were missing quite a few of their important players. So Inter rocked up in their traditional 3-5-2 system, with Martinez in goal, Bissek, Akanji and Bastoni at the back, with Diouf and Di Marco as the wing-backs, Barella, Çalhanoğlu and Zielinski in the middle, with Esposito and Martinez partnering each other up front. As for Monza, it was a 3-4-3 formation, with Pizzignacco in goal, Carboni, Lucchesi and Caudio at the back, Bakune on the right, Birindelli on the left, Mout and Ondoa in the middle, with Mangas as the left winger, Colpani as the right winger, and Varela starting up front. So yes, Inter actually scored very early on in the 6th minute, and that was thanks to Çalhanoğlu. Esposito held up play very well. He fed Diouf, who dummied and squared it back, and then Çalhanoğlu blasted it in from outside the box for an absolute cracker to kick off the season. In the 29th minute, Monza had their answer. Mout, the youngster, set up Varela from midfield, who held off Akanji and finished from a diagonal shot. It was a really nice goal with some nice target man play from Varela. Yeah. they would go into halftime draw, and then as the second half started in the 48th minute, just 2 minutes in, Zielinski would punish a Pizzignacco error, as Pizzignacco decided to Superman jump out and not get enough on the punch to drop the ball straight into the feet of Zielinski, who bounce shot it over the goalkeeper. In the 55th minute, it was Pio Esposito's turn to impress, as he backheeled in Diouf's assist after Diouf impressed on the wing with some trickery. And then, of course, it was Bissek who rampaged forward through the middle and struck home, deflecting off of Lucchesi. Now, brother, this was a classic Inter performance right off the bat. Çalhanoğlu banger, check. 2 assists from a wing-back, check. And a central defender casually scoring a non-set piece goal.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing about Inter over the past couple of years is they have so many avenues, man. Every single position is a goal-scoring weapon. And once again, we're seeing from Inter that just because they lose someone like Denzel Dumfries, they have someone ready there frothing for that opportunity. Because aside from the fact that they signed Jed Spence, they have a certain Andy Diouf, who they signed last season, playing in wing-back now after he essentially failed as a central midfielder at this team. Match day 1, and he is second top assister in the league, because there is someone this week that got 3 assists.
Yeah, Dybala, spoiler.
Yeah, but that's the thing about Inter, man. They're just capable of scoring from everywhere, and when they smell blood, they're absolutely unstoppable. In this case, the blood, unfortunately, in my opinion, was the performance of Pizzignacco. Of course, Çalhanoğlu strikes and DeMarco's crosses aren't the easiest to handle, but definitely a little bit of inexperience and ring rust and soft goalkeeping in Pizzignacco's performance.
Absolutely. It was clear that he's not the starter. Of course, Thiam is a much more convincing goalkeeper. I remember watching him in the playoffs. He's quite solid. I remember that this is this might not actually be proof that they can develop good keepers, but Di Gregorio was there, and Di Gregorio was actually a monster at Monza, and it caused Juve to actually go in and sign him. Now, whatever happened there happened, but yeah, Thiam is definitely better than this guy. Not to mention Pessina, the leader, of course, was sorely missed, but we've already mentioned these anyway. Brother, Inter are unbeaten in 13 official matches, so they've picked up from where they left off. Their last loss was against Milan on the 8th of March, where they lost 1-0, and they've won every single game and drawn 3 since then. They definitely have it figured out, right? And as you mentioned, Diouf, for example, had a very good game. Is that credit to Kivu for getting a player that didn't really have a place in the team and readapting him and putting him in a place on the pitch where suddenly he's delivering and impressing so much?
Yes, it's down to Kivu for that vision and for finding a solution rather than just getting rid of the player. He's not cutting it. Get him out of here, or never calling him up to the games. These are key things, these are key qualities that make managers great. Diouf is a young, promising player. If he would have just threw him under the rug because he wasn't playing well as a central midfielder, that might have been understandable, but might have been a shortcoming of the coach as well. But credit goes to the player as well. I mean, because he's taken this role. He's handling it so well, and you see he's capable of defending, he's capable of attacking, and he is a mentality monster, because at that age, how old is Andy Diouf? I don't believe he's an old player by any means. He's 23 years old, relatively new to the league. No, I think both deserve praise over here, both Kivu and Andy Diouf.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. You have to be.
Teammates, they've given him a nickname now, Andy Il Calcio Diouf.
That's brilliant.
And he loves it. Of course, they're a good group in there, and they bring the best out of each other. They're very encouraging, and I think that rubs off on a young player like Diouf.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's definitely an advantage for them having a man who can actually dribble out wide. I mean, this Inter team has been dangerous for a while, but one of the things that it has lacked is players with the ability to take on a man. Even when Dumfries was there, he's not the type to dribble. At most, he'll knock it past you and try to beat you for pace. But Diouf has that technique that can really get him out of trouble in tight spaces. And we saw, in fact, in the goal where he assisted Esposito, it was a very tight space. He did a few step overs, a bit of trickery, whips it in, and suddenly Esposito's improvising with the finish.
Do you think that someone like Andy Diouf will start? Now, of course, they've signed Jet Spence and they've dropped 35 million on Jet Spence, and naturally, I mean, Jet Spence should be the starter. Considering how well Andy Diouf is doing, obviously the statement I just made could be up for debate. In a game like this, I feel like they afford to play DeMarco and Diouf because they've got two wing backs that can go forward against a Monza team that aren't exactly going to threaten much on the counter, at least at this stage of the season. I think Spence and then can offer a bit more defensive solidity.
That's what I was going to say.
They play the likes of an Amorim's Milan or a Gasperini's Roma.
Yes. I think Spence will give them more balance, while Diouf can be a weapon where against teams where they don't need much, they don't need as much defensively. Yeah. I mean, remember they have 3 centre backs playing.
Luis Enrique, and then I don't know what he can do.
Maybe Roma could use him. No, that's the rumor. That's the word on the street. Right. Bro. I also want to point out. The Diouf and Spence dilemma definitely there. It's a good problem to have for Kivu. And then we have, of course, Pio Esposito's performance. Now, Lautaro isn't fully fit. He arrived quite late into the preseason because of Argentina making the World Cup final, of course. Pio Esposito had to step up, and he was a monster this game. The target man play was amazing, how he would hold the ball up. Lucchesi was tasked with man marking him, and he really struggled all game. Lucchesi, I believe, is only 23 years old. It was quite a handful for him, and he proved to be not quite enough to hold off a player of Pio Esposito's quality. In fact, Pio had to actually change his t-shirt a couple of times because he was tearing it. He was tearing his t-shirt over and over again from pulling at him, trying to contain him. It was absolutely unbelievable. But what a player he's turning into, Esposito, bro.
100%, and he's the future of the Italian national team, and he's the future of Inter, and he should start every single game for Inter moving forward so long as he's fully fit. Because this is, I was really pleased in match day 1 of Serie A to look across the board and see young Italian players actually playing.
Yeah.
And we'll go through them and kind of highlight some of them. There are some smaller teams stacked with Italian talent.
Yeah.
You've got Cissè of Milan playing as well. You've got Gaetano playing for Atalanta. Frattesi coming on and scoring for
Romano of Cagliari.
Romano of Cagliari.
Swiss
Italian. So we're starting to see managers playing their young Italian talents and showing them actual bloody importance. And I think if you have a Pio Esposito and you play in Serie A, you have to start Pio Esposito. And if that means, Thuram is going to get a little bit pissed off and he gets to make his little jokes on the bench and then come on and score a hat-trick, then so be it. That'll have to be his role. But Pio needs to be protected at all costs because he can give Inter 15 years and he can give the Italian national team 15 years of this.
Absolutely. It works both ways. Of course, you have managers like Kivu who are rewarded for the talent they put out there, and Pizacana, of course, rewarded thanks to that wonder goal by Romano. And then you have the likes of Juric, of course, who's totally punished for playing a young centre back and a young inexperienced goalkeeper, and also the likes of Sassuolo, who we'll talk about later on, who had a similar situation. A little bit on Monza, of course. I mean, Inter, it's the same old Inter. It's basically they picked up where they left off. They had a bit of a slow start. They struggled against Monza's press in the first half, but second half they came out guns blazing and they blew them out of the water. For Monza, 2 players stood out to me. Varela as a striker.
For sure.
Impressive play. He looked lively. He looked energetic. Good target man as well. He's strong, can hold off his defender. He made Akanji look like an amateur in that goal. So very excited to see more of him. And then there is the 19-year-old midfielder in Mathis Mout, who had a very good game down the middle. He even got the assist on Varela, but he looked lively throughout the whole game. What do you think, brother?
No, I mean, look, Monza didn't field their best team for sure, but at least you could notice little kind of presences around the pitch. And I agree, those are the two that stood out to me. I thought Varela's goal was extremely well taken. I like the work of Mout, of course, that led to that. But I think Varela's finish was that of a top-tier striker. And to do that with the defensive line that Inter have, I mean, Bisseka, Kanji and Bastoni, all that experience, all that muscle, and all those brains, I think he's one to watch this season, Varela. And once they finally actually get their, Churia, Dani Mota, Idrissa Touré and all these players back in the game, Matteo Pessina, he's going to have a lot more service. We saw in this game, for example, Colpani still leaving a lot to be desired. I can't believe that once upon a time. But to be fair, it was a very premature signing for Fiorentina.
It was too quick.
I think he had a good 2 months when they decided to sign him. Thankfully, it was a loan with an option.
Bro, this has happened twice at Monza in recent history. You have Daniel Maldini, who started playing well and was poached immediately, and Colpani as well. I mean, you need a little bit more continuity. Right?
For Daniel Maldini at our Cagliari, my friend. He will do bits there. I have a strong feeling about it. I think he fits. They like those technical players behind the striker. Him, Fazzini. They're going to be nice.
Yeah, especially with Esposito leaving there. Yes. But pretty much what we expected. The first half was a bit of a surprise and gave everyone who isn't an Inter fan a bit of hope that maybe Inter have slowed down, but no, it was exactly what we expected, and Inter blew Monza out of the water in one of the most dominant performances of the opening match day.
Absolutely, and we will now jump to Torino 1, Milan 2. These are two teams, both with new managers. Of course, this is Abate's debut against his former Milan, where he played 306 matches, coached their youth team, and was fired by Zlatan allegedly due to Abate not giving his son enough minutes. There's your lore for the match. That's how I would describe the game to my girlfriend to get her excited for it.
Did it work?
It did work, yes. Of course, this was Milan's first match under Ruben Amorim as well, but there's no particular connection to Torino. So Torino lined up in a 3-4-2-1 formation with Mascardi in goal, a backline of Comuzzo, Ismaili and Coco. Cacciamiani started on the left with Pedersen on the right, double pivot of Ginetis and Fitzjim. Just a gentle reminder that if some of these players seem unfamiliar to you, go look at our transfer update episodes. We have 2 parts actually, 2 to 3 or 4 episodes ago, and you'd know all about Fitzjim if you did that. Cassidy and Vlasic playing behind Simeone. Amorim, of course, 3-4-2-1 formation as well, with Magic Mike the Eagle Manyan in goal, backline of Hila, Koni de Winter and Pavlovic, Chukwueze on the right, Estupinian on the left, and the double pivot of Yashari and Musa, with Loftus-Cheek and Cissé playing behind Ramos. I can confirm that once this lineup came out, Jake did message me, freaking out about a particular player. Let's be honest, Yunus Musa, and what did I tell you, Jake?
You told me, oh my god, I can't believe it, what an idiot Amorim out.
I think it's surprise us, and it's the system.
Yes, you did say that.
We'll get into that. This isn't about me noshing myself off.
This reminds me, bro, this lineup, just an observation of how every single season on match day 1, no matter who Milan signed, Borini was in the starting 11. Because it needs to be mentioned that match day 1 is all about fitness. Who is ready to start the season? Yes. And Amorim has said many times, they ask him, what about Leao? You know what he says? Leao non è importante in questo momento. He says Leao is not important at the moment. Leao is not important now, and he is not important in general. The team is what's important, and I love that. He doesn't look at the player who he is. He doesn't look at Rabiot. Oh my God, Pulisic and all these guys, and try to put in a team that's not ready. He put out the best team. The team that showed the most in pre-season, and he got the job done with them.
Yes, he's lovely to listen to.
He is, I have to say.
Let's jump into the game. So Milan dominated the first half, and they created some good opportunities, typically from pressing high up the pitch and forcing the likes of Comuzzo and Ismaili into a few early errors, but all the action came in the second half, particularly after the 56th minute move by Ruben Amorim, where he took off Yashari for Modric, and he brought on Rabiot, who pushed into a more advanced role with Loftus-Cheek withdrawn. This was a clear signal that Amorim wanted more control and craft in the final third. I think he saw that Milan were getting more on the ball, so they didn't need the quick transitions of Yashari, and they could use Modric to control the tempo of the game. In the 60th minute, blatant penalty for Milan. Huge shout for a penalty after Cissè's cross is blocked by the hand of a defender, and that was for me the first ridiculous call in the Serie A season, because it's clearly an extended hand.
Was clear.
It's clearly a cross going into a dangerous area, and quite frankly I couldn't believe it.
It was crystal clear. And you get to see Cardinale in the stands, hands on, by the way, he's at the game and everything. He was signing kits outside the stadium and everything. You get to see him going, what? What?
Was that not a handball?
Is that not a handball? Did he not touch you with his hand?
Isn't that a handball?
Isn't that an infringement?
It was thankfully just moments later, and then just 4 minutes later, Milan opened the scoring, and it was, I love the way that the commentator put it, the apple of Amorim's eye broke the deadlock through Cissè with a well-placed, composed finish after a Rabiot cross. That's his first Serie A goal on his debut, just at 19 years old, a very well-taken strike after. He was very involved, made a few of the wrong decisions throughout the game, but that is, he's 19 and that was his debut.
So, a point on that, bro. Cissè in the first half was quite frustrating, right?
Yes.
A few misplaced passes, inaccurate crosses, but he never stopped trying, and he never stopped trying to be expressive and trying to create. And as frustrating as it was, it paid off in the end, because he plays without any fear. I would call this the spectral opposite of Nkunku.
Okay.
Nkunku never played like this for Milan. Nkunku was scared. Even when he got the ball, he would lay it off to someone next to him. He would never try to take on a man. He would never shoot from distance. He would never go for these risky passes. It's almost like he was paranoid about his stats. This was a breath of fresh air.
No, if you're scared, go to church.
Little John.
Cissè, if you're fearless, come to the San Siro in front of the Curva Sud. But anyway, yeah. 2 minutes later, and then Rabiot, from provider to goal scorer, he instantly doubled the lead, firing in at the back post after a brilliant in-swinging cross by Chukwueze, which at this stage is something that we're just expecting every single game. He was running rampant down that right side, but Rabiot, since he came on and he was in that number 10 role, he was just in the important moments every single time. And that is what that experienced substitution of bringing on Modric and Rabiot does. Milan and then kind of gassed out, and they went a little bit more defensive and stopped controlling the game so much. Abate's men, Abate made some changes. They took the game by the scruff of its neck. They brought on Ingi, who dribbled Gila to what I thought was a cruciate injury.
I thought he killed him, bro.
I thought he killed him, but Ingi, size, strength, pace, he has it. Fucking orange eye. He has it all, man.
I would say Ingi.
I would say Ingi, but my good friend, I don't know his name, American Milan YouTuber.
American Milan YouTuber.
He's always in a hat. I was watching his live last time.
Boy, oh boy. That one?
No.
No. He's amazing, that guy.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Boy, oh boy. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Is it Kush? Football Kush?
No, not Kush. God, man. God. I'm going to find him.
American.
I'm going to find him. I need to shout him out.
Martino.
He's good. No, not Martino.
Shout out to Martino, though, by the way, who gave us a shout out on Twitter. And it was very nice.
I am
very nice of him. It's okay. In the meantime, I will tell you that this Ng is 21 years old. He's Swedish, and he's an absolute menace. Like Matthew said, pace, power, technique. He was a one-man army. He changed the look of Torino as a team when he came on. He was just so dangerous and lively.
Yeah, I'll find him later, just because I've got a show to do, and I'm playing TikToks in Jake's ear.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
I'll give him a shout out later while Jake's doing his presentation, because he deserves it. But then the 93rd minute, after Torino were knocking for a while, they did have a few good chances. Milan did gas out, and Milan aren't great when they're not on the ball, let's be honest. A free kick was floated in. Wasn't a great free kick because it was just behind Shea Adams. But Shea Adams hit a volley like I've It has to be one of the goals of the season already. Just ridiculously struck by Shea Adams. Tyson won his bet. I'm sure he was screaming his ass off in France. I heard him all the way from Malta. But it was just a consolation for Torino. Good for Torino to get that goal. Good for Shea Adams to get that goal, because I think he has an important role to play, especially as there are 2 openings just behind that striker. I think Shea Adams can play behind the striker. So yeah, I think overall Torino shouldn't be too upset by their performance. But the first thing I want to talk about is the huge identity shift of Milan, brother. Watching this Milan play is so different. I mean, pressing their opponents so high up the pitch, controlling the tempo throughout. 1 game, 1 win for Amorim. What did you think of Milan's performance overall? How did they look to you?
I thought I was impressed, to be honest, by the way Milan came out and the way they played in the first game. I thought it was extremely bold of Amorim to go with this lineup, and the fact that it worked and Milan didn't really concede much before they scored both goals was quite refreshing as well, because playing with such a high line is something that scares me quite a bit. Even sometimes when they would play the ball down the wing and you see the centre backs running back, I feel terrified, you know. But I thought it was very, very well handled and very controlled, and I like that they dominate the ball and they move the ball around, and just the combinations and the fact that there's always a man available, and the tempo with which they play, this high tempo where they're constantly moving the ball around and there's always an option. I thought it was night and day between last season and this one. A completely different approach to the game, completely.
Of course, a change from a manager like Allegri to a manager like Amorim is going to come with its anxieties.
Yes.
It's like you were in an 8-year relationship with a Christian Catholic girl that goes to church every Sunday and sings in the choir in her free time, and she stays at home and she's loyal and whatever. You spend 8 years with her, and then you have a thing with a goth baddie who loves a night out, you know, loves
Drake's goth baddie.
Particularly exactly Drake's goth baddie. The goth baddie is a lot more exciting, she's a lot more fun, but she's going to come with her anxieties. You're used to a Christian Catholic girl singing in a choir, voice of an angel, you know, makes a good Sunday roast.
You're anxious, but you're barking.
You're barking.
That
was barking the entire game.
Yeah.
For more from Amorim. But it was very exciting by Milan. Again, strong and fast and direct on the ball. Off the ball, there's still a lot of growth to be seen. Those last 15 minutes were shaky, especially Hila came off. Torino were finding a lot of success down the wings, which is what we expected with the likes of, you know, Chukwueze's great going forward, but off the ball, he's in the right place, but he can't really win the ball back so often. Hila, who's supposed, so that's okay because Hila's there to cover Chukwueze. He went off injured. On the other side, it's Estupinian and Pavlovic, who, two good players, but you know they're more muscle and strength than they are in positional awareness and whatever. So they were finding a bit of success when Milan were off the ball.
Absolutely, and this is what I want to see from Amorim's Milan going forward. I am curious to know, when you do have a lead and you're approaching the end of a game, how do you go about that? Do you continue to press high? How are you when you stop pressing? How's the defensive organization? You know, because we're used to a very organized backline with Allegri. The players technically know how to defend without pressing, so in a low block. So that's what I'm curious to see. The fact that Torino scored at the end maybe is a bit of a red flag, even though the goal was fucking unbelievable. Let's be real. It is.
I want to go through a few players just to highlight them from Milan's team. Actually, before I do that, what tweaks, because obviously you said these were the most available, they were the most ready and the most in form and fit players that Amorim started. The formula was very simple in that sense. What tweaks do you expect next week against Venezia for Milan to make?
So, while Musa actually played well in midfield, I would be surprised if he weren't to start Modric. Rabiot, I think, needs to start as well. So, but I'm anticipating Rabiot to start behind the striker in the 10. I have a feeling he might do that for like Ruben.
Well, I liked what I saw
from Rabiot,
in that position.
Goal and assist, literally.
He came on, and after 15 minutes, he had a goal and an assist.
Yeah, totally. But I think at this point, man, he shouldn't really change much. He should slowly, if anything, change pieces and try to build the team's identity and then fit the individuals in. If he's happy with how the team executed his instructions, then I think he should go for something similar in the upcoming game against Venezia.
However, and something that was common in this match day, we saw it in the Napoli game as well. As much as, for example, Milan were in control before the substitutions, it was the substitutions that made the difference, because Rabiot didn't start. He came on for Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was a little bit weak, a little bit scared. God, I hate to see a scared Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah.
We need to see him on form. We need to see him driving that ball forward exactly like Rabiot did. I'd hate to be Loftus-Cheek where I'm replaced by Rabiot, and in 5 minutes he has a goal and an assist. Of course, Cissè, there's no need to shout him out. We saw his backing from Ruben Amorim. And I think it's for a good reason. He said, I love Cissè, and he said that in front of the world, basically. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if moving forward he won't be a regular starter. Pulisic and Rabiot will be available. Talks about Milan bringing in another number 10, but he will play. You'll see a lot of him. You'll see over 1,000 minutes by Cissè easily. Chukwueze had a great game down the right as well. Of course, he can leave behind him exposed, but he was man of the match, simply. And the biggest surprise for me was that double pivot worked so well in Moussa and Yashari. I thought Yashari played Modric's role to a T. Won the ball back, played his vertical passes, bro, are crazy, man, crazy. He puts the right pace on them, the right power on them. And he's very direct, Yashari. He's not scared of going for that direct long ball. And I thought he was brilliant. And Moussa, his ball carrying, when he doesn't try to overcomplicate things and he runs forward and looks for the simple ball, as he did for the first goal where he got the hockey assist, fits that role brilliantly, man.
True.
On the counter, he was magnificent.
He even had 2 good long balls. So, with Moussa, I think the problem and then is his concentration, his composure, maybe against harder opponents. But this was very impressive, especially, man, that turn for the first goal, how he just removed 2 players and found himself with just the defensive line in front of him and many options running. That was great work.
Yeah, man. Yeah, totally. Shout out to De Winter as well, who won 4 of his 5 dual slash tackles in his first taste of this new 3 at the back system under Ruben Amorim. Yes, and of course, I won't get into the whole Leao situation too much. He's being linked to Aston Villa now, but apparently Aston Villa don't have enough money. So they're seeing what could be worked out, because Leao prefers the move to Aston Villa rather than Galatasaray.
I think more than they don't have enough money, they're not sure they want to spend it on Leao, which after the season he had last year where he looked unreliable last year. He looked unavailable for the majority of the season. I wouldn't blame them.
But to be fair, they should panic, because they just lost their first game of the season 3-0.
Aston Villa really versus against them. Anyway, whatever. Who cares? Not us.
Exactly, not us. Torino with Abate. I mean, look, there's obviously their first match was a tough one against Milan. I think they did well for the majority of the game. They defended well, and then they lost control for those 5 minutes where Milan really managed to stamp their authority. That is what a good team does, essentially. But we saw some good moments from them. We saw, Ng came on and he looked fantastic. It was a bloody great goal scored by Shea Adams. So I think Torino can look forward with a little bit of excitement and look forward to the simpler games, rather than they don't need to play Milan every week. So we'll see.
They try to play, They try to play Torino. That's an interesting thing. I was impressed by Fitzjim, by the way. We were wondering how he would cope physically. It's true he's on the smaller side, but he was very lively and he did very well on his debut. And I was also impressed, of course, as we mentioned, by Ng. I mean, Ng is unbelievable. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of him this season.
We'll see more of him for sure, 100%. So that's Torino. I think we can move on to the next game.
Indeed, we can.
My good friend over here.
So the next game is Frosinone 0, Juventus 1. By the way, before we move into this, Tyson, is there anything you'd like to add on Milan or Inter? Just to get a different perspective.
I agree with what you guys said. I think going back to the Milan game, I think Milan was very impressive on the transition. Whenever they lost the ball, they recovered it really, really well and went back to attacking. I was also, as you mentioned just now, I feel like Fitzjim deserved a bit more credit. I think he was really running the show for Torino. And in the game before the Inter game, I just think Inter is the team to beat. They look very impressive, but we also, like you guys mentioned as well, have to consider that Monza was not playing their strongest team.
You're the man, Tyson.
Perfect, brother. Perfect. I found my Milan guy. He's available on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. It's at me, Marco G. This is the gentleman right over here. Me, Marco G. He goes live for every game. Great Milan content, and he's very consistent. Very consistent.
Nice. All right. Frosinone 0, Juventus 1. So this was the 5th match between Frosinone and Juve and Frosinone. And Juve have always won. So that was a smart bet from us to put Juve to win. And what made it even smarter is that Juve have won their opening Serie A match for the 11th consecutive season.
Bro, and they're always amazing in their first match. This was the slowest one that we've seen, but I remember at 3-0 with Vlahovic scoring. I remember when they had Di Maria, they won like 4-1 in their first game.
Yeah. Frosinone have only ever been in Serie A 4 times. This is their 4th time in Serie A. So the first time was in 2015, then 2018, 2023, and now, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. So missing players, Gediemis was unavailable for Frosinone, while Di Gregorio, Gatti, and Ekator were unavailable for Juve. Gatti was injured by a fan.
I know. You saw the clip.
Horrific, huh?
Really unlucky for the fan. I would hurt myself if I was the fan.
I think he might have wanted to do that, no?
No way.
No? He slid into him from the back.
He did not mean to.
He didn't
have studs on. He went to slow down. Clearly he loves Gatti. That's the way I saw it. He went sprinting up to him. He probably wanted to hug him from behind or like get a photo with him. He slipped because he didn't have studs on. And sort of like Maltese AstroTurf.
Yeah.
You'll never slip.
Yeah, you'll break your bone.
Graze your knee.
Yeah.
And I slipped right behind, but it was a crunching challenge.
Bro, he took him out. He took him out completely. Poor guy.
I wonder if Gatti forgave him. It would be nice to get a message from Gatti saying, listen, I know you didn't mean it.
Like the Pope. Who was it? The Pope that forgave the shooter? John Paul?
Probably John. Well, it was always JP. JP was the
He had a horrific scandal, but let's move on.
Did he have a horrific scandal?
Of course, the girl in Venice, bro, who went missing. But anyway, let's not get into that. Frosinone's starting 11. They had Palmisani in goal. They played a 4-2-3-1 formation. Monterisi, Calvani, Cittadini, and Barcaglia were at the back, with Carlo and Cicchella. Bro, you're good at these. Cicchella as the double pivot. Fini and Gvernazze playing out wide, with Schmidt, that's Tyson's Schmidt, playing in the pocket, and Raimundo starting up front.
Fini.
As... I don't get that.
Fini.
I'm a bit of a boomer, as you can hear, guys. Juve 4-2-3-1 as well. There was Vicario on goal making his debut. Celik on the left making his debut, with Kelly, Bremer and Kalulu at the back. Luiz and Locatelli in the double pivot, with Conceição on the right, Yildiz on the left, McKennie in the hole, and Colomwani starting up front for what they're calling his second debut. But there cannot be a second debut, as that is an oxymoron.
That is an oxymoron.
Don't be a moron.
Oxy.
So, Bremer scored a towering header in the 22nd minute after having narrowly missed another towering header a few minutes earlier. That would have been an amazing one, that first header. The way he rose and the power he got on that header would have been awesome. But this was a nice goal and a great cross by Conceição. Colomwani and Conceição had 2 horrific misses, particularly Colomwani. It was an empty net and he managed to sky it. And Juve, not closing out the game, almost came back to haunt them as Calvani hit the post with a header in the 93rd minute after a cross by Carlo following a corner. This was a game that looked good by Juve. They looked great, they looked dominant, they looked creative, they looked lively. But it's the same old story. They didn't take their chances and they didn't kill off the opponent. and they could have lost it at the end thanks to that.
Exactly. And
shot.
I'm starting to think there's a number 9 curse. Finally, I'm starting to think this. Because, Vlahovic flopped, they bring in David, he flops, they bring in Openda, he flops, and now Colomwani, who was the guaranteed one that will actually do well. He's the one that they've wanted for the past 2 years because he had a good season with them on loan, a good half season with them on loan. And he dropped a stinker in his first game. So maybe they sorted out the goalkeeper situation, even though Vicario wasn't so often tested in this game. Maybe they haven't solved the striker situation yet. We'll wait and see, of course. I was particularly happy, and I'm happy because I was a fan of his at Villa, man, by the performance of Douglas Luiz. And I said earlier, I think in the last episode, that Douglas Luiz could be like a new signing for Juve, the same way Chukwueze is like a new signing for Milan, and like Marin is for Napoli. Getting these players back from loan is literally they are like a new signing, and with the right, now that his personal issues are a little bit in the past with Douglas Luiz, maybe he can focus on his game, and he already looked much better in this game.
He did, and he doesn't have the pressure of the price tag on him. When you join a team for that amount, that's the talk of the town. But a year passes, he still costs Juve that amount, but people have just stopped talking about it now.
He's the flop now.
Yeah,
he's the flop.
Yeah. So now, instead of coming in with the highest expectations, he's coming in with the lowest expectations. So we can get maybe a fair assessment of him. Same goes for Coop Miners, by the way. I mean, look, Colomwani's performance, of course, he was wasteful, but he still moved well. He still attacked the channels well. He was still all right. It was still an upgrade from what we saw from Jonathan David. I think there were many positives for Juve. Plenty of chances, positive midfield play. Luiz looked good. The defense looked very solid, and they didn't let up many opportunities until the very end. Much quicker movement going forward. Conceição was a man possessed, running down that channel on the right. The bad is that it's the usual problem that they didn't capitalize on their dominance, right? And that is a thing that you cannot really criticize Spalletti, because Spalletti cannot score for these players, right? Yeah. Statistically, this reminds me of those Allegri games against the likes of Pisa, where you look at the stats and it's all Milan dominance, and then the score is 2-2. You know what I mean? Because they would have missed a bucket load of chances, you know?
And it's not just down to the striker, bro. I mean, Juve at the stage, okay, they have McKennie, but, you look at Conceição, where does Conceição struggle? In the final third. He's great at beating a man and playing the ball into the box, but put him in the final third, he's likely not going to put his chance away. Kenan Yildiz is the exact same. Yildiz needs to improve in front of goal. Everyone's talking about him like he's the best player in Serie A. But he actually gets given that title. He needs to put his chances away, because he doesn't often put his chances away. Locatelli, he is not a goal-scoring midfielder. McKennie is, sure. And Kefren Thuram, we need to see more goal-scoring from him. So it's not like they're a team studded with players that can put the ball into the net. It's as simple as that. Look around.
Yeah, it's true. They aren't prolific goal scorers.
There's so much that you can put on column 1 or the number 9.
That's a very fair point, bro. Interesting enough, by the way, last year, Yildiz, who is out for 2 months now, by the way, out for 2 months, absolutely devastating, and he might need surgery. He was invisible at times this game, but he was unlucky to not score. He had a very low-driven shot that was saved. I'm not even sure if it was saved or if it hit the post. It was very chaotic. Last season, Yildiz had 40 shots on target. That's the second most in the league, behind
40.
Behind Paz, 46. Wow. So now Alay Begovic is going to have to, show what he's all about, perhaps prematurely.
But I'm guessing probably Boga will start as well. So Boga is capable of scoring. At this point, I think I would field goal scorers.
Yes.
If I were Spalletti.
And let's also remember that Colomwani had been training with Paris Saint-Germain's youth team this summer, prior to being signed by Juventus. So we're expecting him to improve, of course. It's fun to see that there are so many players behind Colomwani, who have so much flair, bro, with the likes of Bogala, Begovic, Yildiz, Conceição. Juve will definitely be fun. Zegrova, exactly. They don't lack flair at all, so hopefully they can just... Well, hopefully for Juve, Colomwani can start putting them away. Interesting to hear Spalletti's words after the game. He came out and said, we need another striker. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? We need another striker with different characteristics, he said. We bought Colomwani, we know his value, but you have to realize that he hasn't played for 2 years, and there must be a reason for that. He's strong, but he has to score in these matches.
Okay. They signed a different striker, and his name is Jeff Ekator. He's out injured
But I think he wants another proven one, I guess. I know, right?
Jeez. He has Jonathan David, he has Jeff Ekator, and he has Randall Colomwani.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have 4 strikers. They're going to sign another striker now close to deadline day. I think maybe he had a pre-season to assess that situation and maybe not throw him under the bus after the first game of the season, where they actually got a victory.
I was surprised by his words, to be honest. Yeah, I think that Frosinone are a young team. They are a brave team. They're a very Italian team.
Mm-hmm.
They field many Italians. I didn't do a head count, but it's definitely a lot. Opposite to Venezia, by the way, who didn't field a single one. Didn't hear anyone complaining about Venezia because they're not Como. But anyway, I thought that they held out pretty decently. They fought nobly. They even managed to almost get back into it at the end. Juve could have obviously blown them out of the water had they taken their chances, but in the end, I think it was a good display by them. For Juve, I think that one man stepped up to the task this game, and it was Bremer, who was an absolute beast at the back.
Yeah.
Very suffocating defending from him, like we remember him before his injury, so he's back to that type of defending. And just the personality of a leader. I mean, he stepped up, he scored the goal, he fucking He led by example this game.
Yeah, totally. And look, soon he's going to have John Lukumi next to him rather than Lloyd Kelly. So that's going to be exciting for Juve as well, because that's another thing about Juve. Okay, Frosinone had one chance at the end, but Juve don't typically allow many chances to their opponents. That was what was so frustrating about Di Gregorio, because they'd get one chance and they'd put it past them. It's not like they were conceding 5 shots on target a match, you know?
Exactly. And Celik helps with that, by the way. So much safer than Cambiaso.
Yeah.
In fact, it was funny that when they had to defend, they brought on Cambiaso for Celik. I was like, well, it should be the other way around, no? But yeah, brother. Also, shout out to Kalulu. What a tidy, composed player. Cool, calm, composed, Kalulu.
Miss you, Kalulu.
Yeah.
Miss you, Kalulu.
And actually, one more point. Funny that they didn't concede from the first shot on target.
True.
Vicario saved it.
Congrats, Vicario.
He's also decent with his feet, from what I saw.
He went off injured at the end.
But it's not serious. Yeah.
Genoa 0 Napoli 2. Welcome back, Max Allegri. This is Napoli's Serie A debut with Max Allegri. Fun fact for producer Tyson: Genoa have more than double Napoli's Scudetti. Of course.
Half of them won when there were only 4 teams in the league, by the way.
Do not disrespect their right back / goalkeeper / owner. Alright? He did bits in those 2 seasons. One as right back,
didn't he play exactly? He played 1 season as a keeper, and then he was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm playing as a player next season.
It was like 1894, I think.
Yeah.
What was his name again? Was it Sir Charles Alfred Peyton?
It might have been.
Might have been, yeah.
Sir Charles Alfred Patreon. Subscribe to our Patreon.
I feel like it wasn't, man. But
no.
Anyway.
We'll have to reread that, but yeah.
Yeah. There's Caden Tanti in the stands. Was surprised to see a little cameo. If you don't know who Caden Tanti is, he's a Maltese footballer within the youth team of Genoa. We had him in the studio, and Jake interviewed him. I had an emergency. Fuck, my cat.
As usual, his cat, man.
My cat's always like dying.
His cat is a metaphor when they will tell you for what.
Yeah.
It's not.
Sure. A metaphor for my mental health.
Exactly. For his anxiety.
Genoa lined up in a 3-4-2-1 formation, the ever-growing 3-4-2-1 formation. It's like everyone's playing a 3-4-2-1 now. Bilo on goal, backline of Vasquez, Ostigard and Marcan Dalli, Ellertson on the left, Norton Cuffy on the right, midfield two of Amorim and Frendrup, with Vitinha and Baldanzi playing behind Colombo. Allegri played a 4-3-3, mashallah, inshallah and wallahi. Meret in goal, backline of Di Lorenzo, Rahmani, Marin and Spinazzola, a midfield trio of Anguissa, Lobotka and McTominay, with Politano on the right, Santos on the left and Højlund up front.
Hold the fuck up. So, Allegri started the season with Napoli in a 4-3-3, playing Santos and Politano on the wings. Yet with Milan, who have Pulisic and Leao, he didn't start at a 4-3-3. He started with 3 at the back. Do you think that's because I've thought long and hard about this, because Max raised it, sent me a message asking, like, what the fuck? Like, we had wingers, why didn't he play a 4-3-3 with us? Is it as simple as maybe he trusts Rahmani and Marin more as a centre-back duo than Milan centre-backs? Maybe he didn't trust Milan centre-backs. Is that what it was all about?
Jake, it is that 100%. And not only that, but it's that Milan didn't have a good striker either. So what else was he supposed to do? He wanted Milan to be a counter-attacking team. He wanted the 2 spearheads to be the only 2 inventive players at that time in Pulisic and Leao.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you wanted to start Nkunku or Jimenez or Füllkrug as the lone strikers, he didn't really have much of a choice.
Fair enough. What do you think about this, Thijs?
Oh, do I have him on?
I just think... Sorry.
No problem.
I just think that Allegri trusts the centre-backs more, and not only the centre-backs, also the full-backs. I think he has a lot of trust in Di Lorenzo and Spinazzola, two senior people in the team. And yeah, I just think he has a bit more trust in the back line, but he kind of already announced in the press conference that he might change up some stuff tactically next game. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen since it didn't look like the best game for Napoli anyways.
Fair enough. Yeah, Di Lorenzo, that's true. That's a good point. He's very reliable defensively.
Yes. Unless he's playing for the Italy national team.
Yes.
Welcome back, Meret, I guess, as well.
What the hell?
I'm a huge fan of Vanya, I guess. But so in the first half, Genoa, to be honest, looked more in control. They looked more lively. They outshot Napoli. They had 7 shots to Napoli's 3. But to be fair, they failed to create any real sort of opportunities. And you could see that Napoli's defensive block held pretty firm against very routine efforts by Genoa. There was no real improvisation. It was the ball to Colombo, and they win a tackle or they get a forced shot away in a half chance. There's a lot of almost not convincing attacks and a lot of kind of raw, this raw feeling behind the players at Genoa, which is perhaps something that needs to be worked on. Classically, in an Allegri team, Napoli were non-existent in the first half, just feeling out the fight before they go for the killer blow. And in fact, in the 67th minute, that was essentially the turning point, because Allegri made a double substitution, bringing on Kevin De Bruyne and Antonio Vergara, and that immediately shifted the tempo and sharpness of Napoli's attacking play. And it was almost solely because of these two guys, because together they played like, I don't know, Raul and Van Nistelrooy, Kaká and Shevchenko. Like,
baby, if you give it to me, I'll give it to you. Dani Alves Messi. They give us more, guys. Yeah.
And then the 82nd minute, of course, De Bruyne opened the scoring. It was a 1-2 with Vergara. He won a physical challenge. That's the way I wrote it, because anyone who says that that's a foul, come on. The defender should not be going down that easily. Sometimes it's the defender's choice to go down that easily because they know that they'll win something.
Vasquez went in hard, man. Mm-hmm. He went in hard. I mean, you have to give him a little bit back. That's a 50-50, it's not a foul. That's not a foul for me. I'm okay with that. Yeah, as long as it's consistent, obviously, that goes without saying. Yeah. But I'm okay with that. I enjoyed the refereeing, Matchday one. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a lot more lenient.
Except for that one handball.
The one handball against Milan.
No, I think it was a fair goal. Good finish by KDB, good fitness by KDB. It was good seeing him chase that ball down and shove his opponent to the ground. Like, that's not the kind of fitness we saw last season. And then 5 minutes later, the roles were reversed. De Bruyne played a low ball from the right. Lucca dummied brilliantly.
Did you see that?
It was essentially a 1-2. So it started with Vergara playing the ball wide to De Bruyne. De Bruyne carried the ball forward, played the ball into the box to Lucca, who let the ball run to Vergara at the far post, who wrapped up the win with a good finish there. Well, good finish. It was deflected off the keeper, and then a defender slid
and looked like he saved it at first.
Across the line, it was goal line technology basically, but he got the shot on target, which is what he had to do, and it resulted in a goal. But so clearly you could see, even though the formation maybe isn't the classic Allegri formation, you could clearly see the Allegri print in this team. Clearly the worst team in the first half with an XG of 0.07. 3 shots to Genoa, 7, yet they still hang on, make a double substitution in the second half, which earns them the victory. That is Allegri.
Classic, yes. He understands... No, not he understands, sorry. He views football differently, right? He views that second half as when you pump up the pressure. He plays football literally like by just increasing the pressure until the very end, until you can actually deal that killer blow. Conserving energy, feeling your opponent out, understanding how they play and where the gaps are, and then in halftime you come up with a game plan and you exploit the frailties that they showed in the first half. And even bringing on competent players like Vergara and De Bruyne who made the difference immediately. It was a good move. I think Napoli fans wouldn't be too happy or impressed by the performance, but this is what you get. Clean sheet, 2-0.
It is what
Allegri.
It is quite literally what you get. It's not very exciting. Sure, it was exciting because De Bruyne and Vergara made it exciting. I think Lang made it quite exciting as well. I thought Santos was a little bit disappointing in the first half, but more of that. I guess Santos will grow into the season a little bit more. What I'm excited with for Allegri, and in fact I was gonna take Çalhanoğlu on Tattico, and hindsight, maybe I should have, because he scored in the first match of the season. But I took McTominay because I really anticipate that Allegri likes that kind of player, and he could play that kind of Rabiot role, and he could enter that gap between the defense and the midfield and get into important shooting positions, etc. We didn't see much of that in this game. It was more like ball carrying, earlier distribution, rather than being in those key areas like we're so used to him under Antonio Conte. But I do anticipate that that's going to change over time, and that McTominay will get opportunities to have cracks at goal, because historically, Allegri does have goal scoring midfielders. I think if he has Scott McTominay in his team, he is going to be the star of the team, simply. And I think he's got 2 strikers that are well set up for his system in Højlund and Lucca. They both have very unique strengths. They're both good at holding the ball up, which we know that Max really appreciates. I found Højlund a little bit disappointing in this game, but again, at this stage, it's more about nailing the system, and then individual performances will start coming through slowly. I think the most impressive player on the pitch, apart from the substitutes, is probably Lobotka. Just Mr. Reliable, 96% pass accuracy, and you expect no less from Lobotka at this stage, man.
Yeah, he is the heartbeat of the team, of course. But this is the thing, when you have such a versatile midfield, you have McTominay and Anguissa in midfield, you can give them different tasks depending on your opponent. I mean, they can defend, they can attack, they can do everything. They're very well rounded, and I think Santos will be given a lot of the creative freedom going forward with his trickery. I'm a big fan of Alisson Santos. I think he's amazing, and he's so fun to watch.
So am I, man. So am I. When it comes to Genoa, I think they looked good in the first half, and you see that they can take it to their opponents. But poor finishing. But this is the thing. I don't want to judge them too much, because you only get half chances against an Allegri. Because they defend in numbers. It's not about having the best defenders in an Allegri team. Okay, in his prime, he was blessed with BBC, 3 of the greatest centre-backs in modern Serie A history. But that was just an asset for him because they defend in pure numbers. It's about getting as many bodies. At least with Milan, that was the case because he trusted the individuals a little bit less. Thijs, actually, did you notice that? Did you notice Napoli defending more in numbers in this game, or did you notice that maybe Max trusts the defenders a little bit more?
It felt like a mix of both, honestly. I feel like in the first half, Napoli was defending more just with the trust, in the second half, more with numbers. I think it's changed, especially when the substitutions came in.
Fair enough. And what did you make of your Napoli team?
So this was my first experience with Allegri at my club. So I think it was painful to watch, but the scoreline is okay. I think it's the first game, so I think it's hard to just judge the team on this performance, because I think people like Højlund and McTominay, like you guys said, weren't really what they used to be under Conte. But I think that's going to change over the next few games when they really step up again. And it's going to be tough next weekend against Como, but I think Allegri is the man to maybe do it.
Do you remember the last time he played Como? Allegri.
The last time we played Como?
No, Allegri last season had a legendary match against Como, where Como came out and they absolutely pummeled Milan. They couldn't stop shooting and attacking, and it was horrific, Thijs. It was anxiety-inducing. And then in the second half, Milan had, I think it was just 2 chances, and they scored 2 goals and 2-1 victory, something like that, no?
But I think, and then Milan also lost or drew to Como. No,
drew, yes.
When Rabiot was suspended for that game. But that game that Jake is mentioning, Thijs,
it was ridiculous.
Fabregas after the game lost his mind, going, we win 9 times out of 10 in this game against Allegri. But they didn't, because it was a low block against a technical Como team that were just passing it into Milan's defensive block.
You know what's good news, bro, by the way? Frosinone, Monza and Genoa, the 3 teams we've discussed so far in these matches, all relegation sides, and they all played up to their opponent, all of them.
True.
I think Frosinone maybe the least successfully. They didn't really impose themselves, but Monza in the first half against Inter really went for them. And Genoa here, even statistically, I mean, this is what you get when you play against an Allegri team, but they were on par. Then again,
the 3 newly promoted teams all off to losses, the most devastating being Venezia's, obviously losing against Lecce, ones that they could make quick work of with the amount of money that they spent, and the demise and downfall of Lecce.
I can't wait to talk about that game. Lecce are awesome.
We can jump to your next game. There's nothing really I want to add about Genoa Napoli.
So the next game is the Monday night, extravaganza. It was Roma-Fiorentina, which ended 4-0. You're probably wondering what happened the last time Roma played Fiorentina before this. It was also a 4-0 victory for Roma. That game, it was Mancini, Hermoso, Wesley, and not Mancini again, and Pizzilli who scored, yes. That time, they were leading 3-0 by halftime. This time, they were only leading 1-0 by halftime, so Fiorentina have improved.
Congratulations to Fiorentina.
Yes,
wow.
Fiorentina, who haven't beaten Roma at the Olimpico since the 7th of April 2018. 2-0, Benassi Simeone.
Jeez.
Yeah. Benassi sounds like a DJ.
You're the only Benassi.
That's beautiful. Svilar was in goal for Roma in their 3-4-2-1 formation with Mancini, Indica and Hermoso at the back. Lulli started on the right. That was the surprise from this lineup, as Molina wasn't quite ready and Rensch was not available. So yes, it was Lulli starting. Wesley was out on the left with Kwan and Cristante in the middle, Dybala and Mora playing behind Malen. For Fiorentina, it was De Gea in goal in their 4-3-2-1 formation with João Mario, Ranieri, Dragusin and Dodo at the back. Indur, Fagioli and Brescianini in the middle with Atta and Mastantuono playing behind Pellegrino. That was a surprise to not see Keane in the starting lineup, and I think it actually affected Fiorentina very negatively because they had problems finding an outlet against this Roma side that pressed them and suffocated them so much. So Hermoso fired a warning sign 20 minutes in, but it was called off for offside. And in the 27th minute, Malen opened the scoring after linking up with Dybala. He managed to stay composed and display some lovely technique before sliding in the finish after Dybala eliminated 4 players by carrying the ball into the box. In the 52nd minute, Malen doubled the lead. He collected the ball from Dybala, drove into the box and lashed his finish into the roof of the net from a very tight angle. Lovely goal. In the 60th minute was Malen again to complete his hat-trick. This time, Dybala teed him up again, putting him on a plate. It was very easy for Malen this time. And his 3rd assist of the night. And in the 86th minute, substitute Nicola Pizzilli scored late to make it 4-0. Malen is an absolute dream, brother. In the Serie A, he has 19 games and 17 goals.
Jesus, man. How can you not be high on Roma right now after seeing this game?
I was going to ask you that question because you have them 6th in your predictions, huh?
These are the predictions... whatever. Where do you have them in your predictions?
I think 4th, I think, yeah. 4th and Como on 5th. Como on 5th and Roma on 4th, I think.
Oh, okay. I think let me just say this. If Malen picks up, well, he already did pick up where he left off last season, but if he manages to do that consistently for a full season, everyone's in trouble.
Yeah.
And suddenly your 4th place prediction sounds...
It's like shit.
Like shit as well.
Yeah.
If Malen does that all season, you're kidding me. You'd be an idiot for putting them 4th because you should have put them 1st. My thing, the only thing I'll say to stand by maybe my prediction a little bit is what a performance by Paulo Dybala, just to start from there. And a great connection between these two players, and how happy I am to see Dybala actually performing well when most of us thought that he was done at this level because he's picked up one too many injuries. He can't still be as good as he was. He doesn't have the physicality to play in a Gasperini system, which is very demanding. Can he stay fit?
That's always the question. Last season, he was fit for 22 games in Serie A. Not bad.
We have the answer, though. I don't think he can stay fit. I don't think
especially when they're competing on so many fronts, right? I think that something's got to give. However, we have seen Gasperini rotate some players who are not as fit effectively, like we mentioned Muriel last time. However, I feel like with Dybala, Gasperini almost can't leave him out if he's fit. He's too good. That's the problem.
And the thing is, but if they do leave him out, you see, for example, Soler came on in the 54th minute. It doesn't seem like Soler is part of Gasperini's plans, however, when you look at it almost seems like he's forced to use him because they didn't manage to get Somerville, and they didn't manage to get Leao, and they didn't manage to get Nkunku, and they can't sign other wingers. But it's clear that Gasperini, if he had a choice, he wouldn't have Soler.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. So in 22 games, by the way, last year, Dybala managed 2 goals and 6 assists. He's already got 3 in Matchday 1 this year. Assists, yeah.
And
but
those all came at the end of the season,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
So, some things to point out about Roma. 19-year-old Lulli, energetic, fast, bro. Fast. Made up ground so much. And does not play badly in the offensive phase as well. Has some decent technique on him. I thought it was risky in the first half. There were certain situations where Atta was one-on-one against him. And Atta, to be honest, got the better of him. And in one of those situations, he humiliated him a bit. He's so good, Atta. But then the system, of course, forced the individuals out of Fiorentina. Mora stood out to me. What great ball control he has. His touch is excellent.
He's the kind of player I like, man.
Mora. Yeah, tidy.
Tidy. Just full of energy, just 19 years old, man. This is what I'm talking about. So much young talent in the opening match day of the season.
It's true. It's
Two 19-year-olds in Roma starting 11. And Mora's the reason you watch a football game, eh? Like, I didn't catch the full game, but next time I'm watching Roma 100%.
Yeah.
To watch Mora, Dybala and Malen, to be fair.
Honestly,
what an exciting front
three. It's like it was like watching a vintage Atalanta game. They never stopped going. They constantly attacked. Dybala's movement was amazing. Mora's ball control, the forward runs from Indica, the tireless wing play up and down and up and down. high press. They just overwhelmed Fiorentina from the get-go. Fiorentina, as we mentioned, had no outlet, and they really, really struggled. In fact, they were limited to just 8 touches in the final third.
What was Fiorentina's game plan, though? That's what I really struggled to see in this game. Did they want to hit on the break? Did they want to control the game? There was just, for me, a significant still, a lack of identity within this Fiorentina. At this stage, I think, all right, they Grosso attempted to have some kind of continuity with the likes of Indur, Fagioli and Brescianini that all played together last season. The biggest point of criticism of Fiorentina was their midfield, and they fielded the 3 midfielders that were the problem, essentially, or part of the problem. And then the front 3 are brand new. You've got Mastantuono, this is his first game in Serie A. Atta was obviously at Udinese last season, and then Pellegrino, who's used to a Parma system where he's just waiting for headers for the entire match, basically.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dragusin and Joao Mario, a lot of new names. So obviously there is going to be a lack of identity, and there are going to be growing pains when it comes to Fiorentina. It has to get worse before it gets better. I hope it gets better soon, because it is a big job for this team to improve after the shit show that they had last season.
Yes, and I totally agree with you. And I actually wrote down what one of our patrons said on the chat, Brandon. Brandon said that Fiorentina look good, they just need time to gel. And it's true, they lost 4-0, they got absolutely destroyed, but there were some flashes. Atta looked good. Mastantuono doesn't look quite fit yet, but he had moments where you say, okay, there's a player there. I think the red flag over here was Pellegrino, because the system they tried to play, he didn't suit it at all. He couldn't hold up the play as a target man. And he was getting bullied by Roma's defenders, by Indica, Mancini, I mean, of course. And then when they tried to play him in the channel, he couldn't. And that's when I mentioned Moiskin, because Moiskin would have been perfect for that role. Yeah, but it seems he could be going to Como.
No Moiskin, well, a little bit of Moiskin. No Albert Goodmanson in this game either. Very different Fiorentina.
Grosso spoke about the game. He said... he was encouraged by the performances of Aulai, Mastantuono, Pellegrino and Atta, but he wants it to join up. He said, we do things sporadically and individually. To break into this league, we have to do it all together. Matches have many phases. You have to stay inside them and not hand them to your opponents. Conceding a 4th goal or not is the same thing. Interesting. And Roma have now brought in a centre-back, apparently, Jadon Osterwolde. From Fenerbahce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. RIP to anyone who didn't captain Malen.
Including me. I have him, but I did not captain him. As Dave Mastrobattista said, great hat-trick by Dave Chappelle.
Oh my god, it's true. I never point that out.
Looks like just like him. Hilarious. Yeah. I think, yes, this scoreline will flatter Roma. They deserve it, don't get me wrong, but Fiorentina definitely are not as bad as they were made to look this game.
Let's jump to Udinese 1, Como 1. Now this is, you're going to hear a theme in this game, and it's me banging on about how different these teams are. Not only different they are, but how well they represent these different styles of play. That you have the organized and physical Udinese that handpick their moments and attack them like you're pulling an arrow back and releasing it.
Ah, damn!
And then you've got the modern and technical Como, who, you know, they're the orchestrators. They're the what do you call this guy again?
The maestro.
They're the maestri. And these are 2 teams that are in a similar situation. And then when it comes to their projects, it's year 3 for both of them, under Costa Runjaic and under Fabregas in Serie A. So we're kind of getting not a finished product, but a solid work in progress for these 2 teams. So different stylistically, coming head to head. For Udinese and Runjaic's men, it was a 3-4-2-1 formation. Jeez, man. 3-4-2-1s everywhere. With Maduka Okoye in goal. Maduka Okoye
is weird.
We'll talk about him later. He is weird. He's a great goalkeeper, but God, sometimes I want to God. Back 3 of Abankwa, Palma and Sole. Kamara on the left, Voivoda on the right. Double pivot of Piotrowski and Karlstrom. Eklinkamp and Zaniolo playing behind Idrissa Gueye. Boutte in goal for Como in their 4-2-3-1 formation with new signing Jan Couto on the right, Ramon and new signing Chalobah as the centre-backs and Alex Valle on the left. Perrone and new signing Milla in the middle. You would have heard all about Milla. Press resistant, great left foot, set piece specialist, just a good player all around, 31 years old from Getafe. Nico Paz on the right, Rodriguez on the left, and Baturina playing behind Duvikas. Will it still be Duvikas next week? We'll see. So Udinese were doing well at crowding and breaking down Como's midfield from the get-go. That is where there's the significant talent within Como. And in the 29th minute, they actually managed to open the scoring with a fast, well-worked break. Classic Udinese, really. Eklinkamp managed to play through Kamara, who finished with a cute little dink over the oncoming Boutte.
Delicious looking
dick from Rick. So 1-0 at half. Sorry about that. So it was 1-0 at half time for Udinese. They deserved the lead. They just looked a bit more sharp, and a lot more direct. And then the 54th minute, Como responded quite quickly after the restart as Milla's corner led to an Okoye save and Duvikas swept home from the rebound. This is why I complained a little bit about Okoye. Okoye had such a good game, but in this moment, I feel like he aura farmed. The shot is coming straight at him. Okay, it's a keeper's reflexes, it's from close distance, it's a corner and a header. But no way, if you're gonna punch that instead of catching it, which you could have caught it 100%, get it the fuck away from all those bodies in front of you, man. It was so weak. And then he complains to the defenders, you have to whack that shit away. There's no way that confuses you, bro. Because and then moments later, this is exactly why I get pissed off. He had a brilliant save on Duvikas, where Duvikas cut inside, beat the defender, went for the far corner.
It was unbelievable.
And he got down magnificently to save it. He made up for the error, but should have never made the error in the first place. Here, Como increased the volume, and they were after the equalizer, and they had more possession, more shots, and there was a clear shift in territorial control, much like what happened with Milan and
Torino.
The team that was pressing high.
When?
Blanking, one sec.
From this match day. Team that was pressing high, this match day.
Well, there was a little bit of fatigue by the end of the game. I think it was this one, and I'm just remembering my prep I had. So it was less pressing and more, but both sides, and then towards the end of the game, they both almost got a winner. It was crazy. So in the 87th minute, Zaniolo played a low cross across the face of goal. Kamara dummied it, and Bayo had a completely empty net. He had space and time, and he skied it over the bar. And then 94th minute, Jacopo Ramon had a header from another Milla corner that struck the woodwork. So both teams until the very end could have gotten a victory over there. At the end of the day, I would say a draw was probably the most fair result. But look, historically, bro, and Como always struggle against Udinese, just to obviously continue to talk about the stylistic differences. I mean, last season they drew 0-0 in Udine, and they won just 1-0 in Como, and it was an 18th minute penalty by D'Acunha that won them the game. So this is a tough game for most teams, but especially Como, man.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And I think they are going to need to reevaluate their system with these wing backs. So they've brought in Couto, and the goal from Udinese came from his side completely. Yes. Like, he is a very offensive wing back, and I think you need to cover. You need to be ready to cover a lot if you're going to play a player like that. Valle on the other side offers a little bit more balance, but then you have Kaiki, who was also brought in, who is a very offensive wing back as well. I assume the idea is to play Kaiki and Couto at the same time. However, that leaves you without any balance. I thought Smolcic last season provided a good amount of balance for Como defensively. So that's something Fabregas will have to look at, because you can't just attack like that and leave space to be exposed, because Kamara isn't the best player in the world, but he's athletic enough to get in behind and to dink it over the keeper. You know what I mean? He'll get punished in the league for mistakes like this.
And these are the kind of mistakes that Fabregas makes, because he believes in offensive football. He likes having control. He likes being on the front foot, and it means, like when he lost that game by 4 goals against Inter, when he had gotten demolished by Inter. So I'm not going to change my style of play. He believes in having control of the game, having control of the ball, and subsequently that means, like last season, he had the best defense in the league, not because they had the best defense, but because they hogged the ball for the entire game. And I guess that's what he wants. He could play those offensive defenders because they shouldn't be caught out as much as they were in this game. This was their first match of the season, and it came against these sons of bitches in Udinese, man, who are unforgiving. You can't take a second on the ball because they're all up in your grill. If you take an extra second on the ball, they all shift into their position, and suddenly you've got no options to play it to. They're a very frustrating team to play against. Fabregas described them as a Premier League team. He's not wrong, man. They're extremely
like Watford.
Exactly. So. And in fact, Udinese in this game, dare I say, might have even deserved the victory. I mean, that 1.98 XG took almost 1.49. They were outshot 20-16, but Udinese's chances were
higher quality. Yeah.
That chance by what's his face at the end, man, of Bayo.
No.
That had to be a goal.
Yeah.
That had to be a goal.
Big miss. Big miss. Terrible. And it goes down. They're lucky because Okoye just did what Okoye does, right? And this is what we mentioned before. Okoye is a good keeper, man, but sometimes these lapses that he has are bizarre. They're bizarre, quite frankly. How do you explain what he did this game?
I can't.
How do you look at the highlights of this game, for example? Watch the keeper pulling off these amazing saves, and then watch him do that and think that's the same guy. That's the same player.
It's odd.
How is that possible?
It's odd because it's either a lack of concentration, or it's like, how am I going to make the save look cool? And as a result of that, it's like he wants it to be part of his highlight reel.
I don't know, man.
And he is that kind of person. What's also good about him, just to shift it into a more positive, again, his distribution. So I made the point earlier that much like Milan, this is what I was trying to say earlier, and apologies for fumbling in my words. But much like Milan, Como's pressing decreased in the last 30 minutes due to fatigue. That's because after pre-season, after some time off and whatever, obviously these things are going to happen. But before that, they were pressing so aggressively up the pitch. And part of the reason that they had no success in doing that is when Udinese were playing the ball back to Okoye. Okoye was handling it so well. He's so good with the ball. That's 17 out of 26 passes completed, 11 of which were long balls, accurate long balls. Yeah. He's brilliant. He has so many good qualities.
He is. It's just these weird, unorthodox moments, these bizarre moments of strange goalkeeping. Also, we have a video. It's a joke on YouTube about Okoye. Then I rock up and take a bribe. That video, yeah. Women in the comments. Women.
They find him so sexy.
He's been discovered by the Femiverse.
Light skin, talented. He is a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
He's a lot of fucking though. Milla, just to highlight him as one of the 3 new starters within this Como team. 6 million from Getafe, 31 years old, deep-lying playmaker. His corners in this game were fucking off the charts, bro.
Yeah.
He contributed to the goal, of course, and the Ramon crossbar in the last minute. Just ball after ball after ball. And from open play as well. I mean, he walked in instead of D'Acunha over there alongside Perrone. Got a 7.6 rating on SofaScore. Just a clean performance against an Udinese side that don't let these midfielders like that have a clean performance. And he was absolutely everywhere as well. I was very impressed by him. Spanish, so I guess communication must be easy for him with his team. Fabregas, don't you dare ever take out Baturina that early ever again, by the way. When he was the sleeper pick on fantasy after that World Cup.
Absolutely. That's very frustrating. Even though it was for Asana Diao, who I have on fantasy.
Bro, Diao.
He's unbelievable.
I always say Diao, his speed and how easily he covers ground at that pace and how easily he gets so much accuracy and power in those low-driven shots. It reminds me so much of Henry and Mbappe, bro. Like, play style-wise, these are young Henry and these are young Mbappe. He has so much potential, man. It's a shame he spent last season out in...
Hey, how old is Diao nowadays?
He's young, dude. He was 19 when he scored his first
against
Milan, coming in January. Scored his debut against Milan.
Nice.
So he's 20, 21 years old.
Amazing.
I hope he stays fit because he is better than
Yeah, he's only 20, you're right. So keep an eye on Lewis Miller at Como. Keep an eye on Lennon Miller at Udinese.
Fair enough. Also, obviously, I have to mention just on Como, it's apparent that they're closing in on Moise Kean. And if it's not Moise Kean, apparently they'll be going for Delap from Chelsea, two very different strikers. I don't know what
completely different
connection is. I'd probably rather have the Vikas at this stage than Delap.
I don't know. At least Delap offers you a different profile. Maybe Juve should go for Delap, man. Get a different profile for Colomwani.
And I guess he is England's next big number 9, considering they don't have any good young strikers. So I guess that's a certain amount of pedigree and millions.
How happily you said that, bro.
But no, good stylistic game. I'm hoping to see more from Como moving forward. They will grow into the season, I'm sure, and keep an eye out for Udinese, because they're going to be a handful this season, and according to my predictions, I have them in 9th place for the season, and I stand by it completely.
Absolutely. Moving on to Atalanta 2, Sassuolo 1. This is the second ever Serie A Matchday 1 meeting between these two sides. Atalanta won the first one as well. 2-0, Zortea and Dedicated Lara scored that game. Zortea, I miss you, man. Get good again. So, missing. We had Agenor missing for Atalanta, Hien and Sulemana, they were all injured. And as for Sassuolo, they were missing Pinamonti. Now it is clear why, because he's on the way to Lazio. Boloca, Berardi, Pierangelo, Kande, Kone, Valukovic and Jefferson Paz were all missing for Sassuolo. So Sassuolo were actually quite thinly spread for this game. Atalanta lined up in a 4-3-3 formation, of course. They are managed by Sarri nowadays. Carnesecchi was in goal. Zappa Costa, Kosunu, Scalvini and Bernasconi were at the back, with Pasalic, Gaetano and Ederson in midfield, Zalewski on the right, Raspadori on the left and Scamacca up front. 2 X's there playing up front.
They played together.
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah. The 4-3-3 for Sassuolo featured Muric in goal with Doig, Macchioni, Odentral and Cinquegrano at the back. Jesus Christ.
I love how you just add R's sometimes when you get confused. It's
Odentral. Mostrantrono. So, Bacola, Matic and Adzic were in the middle, with Lauriante on the left, Volpato on the right, and Bowie starting up front.
Fucking hell.
Now, what you're going to notice from this, or what you have noticed from the Sassuolo lineup, is that there are many names that we do not recognize. That is because of their injury crisis. They have had to field quite a few youngsters. Cinquegrano's young, and Macchioni is very young as well. And in fact, these profiles will cost Sassuolo the game.
Yeah, it's a crazy list, man.
It is. It's long. Atalanta broke the deadlock just after 6 minutes when Cinquegrano failed to clear properly. It was Gaetano who found Raspadori, and Raspadori rifled the finish of the underside of the crossbar. Fittingly against his old club, of course. It was Cinquegrano who under-hit the clearance, and then him who mistimed the block on Raspadori, so there were 2 errors by the young fullback. This was Raspadori, of course, thunder cunt of a finish. What a strike. I love shots like that. So satisfying. Sassuolo grew into the game and leveled early in the second half through a defensive gift. This time it was Kosunu's turn to fuck up. He mishit a header trying to clear a throw-in and ended up glancing the ball across the face of his own goal for it to fall to Odenthal, who had the simple task of slotting it home. Atalanta responded well, and it was substitute Nikola Krstovic who won the game in the 65th minute after pouncing on another defensive mix-up. This time it was a route one ball from Carnesecchi from the back. Macchioni went to head the ball away, and he ended up heading it straight to Krstovic's path, who made no mistake putting it past Muric. Atalanta held on from there and got their first victory under Sarri.
Yes.
So, Sassuolo, arguably, this game produced the more fluid football. They played very well during several stretches, but I think their lack of experience ended up biting them in the butt, and this reminded me of the Sassuolo of old with Kirikes at the back and Ruan Tresoldi making mistakes every single game to cost them the match. Yeah. One observation, Jay, it says, was on the bench. Is he on his way out?
We'll wait and see. I mean, next week is transfer deadline week, so I don't want to do too many speculations. We want to just bring you the facts next week and bring you the done moves, of course.
But it seems to be the case, when you don't start a player like Jay, it says, and you opt for two youths at the back. It's definitely. I mean, maybe Milan, man. Imagine.
Milan need a centre back.
Milan do need a centre back.
Because Hila plays 2 games and gets injured.
He gets dribbled and he goes off.
Well, we can say that Sassuolo have signed Esposito. It's very close. And they'll be starting up top, probably ahead of Kieran Bowie, or they're gonna battle it out naturally. But I liked how Sassuolo looked, considering the injury crisis that they have right now, and I think Atalanta disappointed me a little bit with their performance. Not to say that I have mega high expectations when you consider that they're moving away from a formation that they've been using for 20 years.
Yeah.
And now they're using a 4-3-3 Sarri system, which has certain similarities to a Gasperini system, but it is extremely different in various ways, particularly defensively and from a shape perspective. So it's gonna take a few growing pains here and there. I think they have the players to do it. I like the way Gaetano looked in that midfield. I like the way Ederson looked in that midfield. Raspadori on the left, playing a little bit inside with a target man like Scamacca is nice. Interesting to see Zalewski playing right winger. Mm-hmm. We'll see if they make any new signings, because I'm not sure that's his position, and seems like anything but starting Samardzic, man. But I think in the future that'll be the Keitelares role, no?
Yeah, I think so. The Keitelares is too good to leave out. As we said, man, at this point it's playing who's the fittest, who's the most ready, right? The most important thing for Sarri was to get off to a winning start. Of course, there's a massive identity change, as you said, and while Sassuolo have been playing a system similar to this for ages, so the important thing is that they managed to win. This is a big season for Atalanta, man. They have entered their 66th Serie A season, moving into the top 10 for all-time Serie A seasons.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, draw with Sampdoria. Yeah. So congrats to them. They're cementing themselves as a big dog in the league. It's the 13th Serie A season for Sassuolo in contrast. Yeah.
Crazy.
A very young team. Yeah. And in fact, we remember them coming up, right? With the likes of Allegri, etc., Di Francesco. Just a few facts I have over here and observations. So Christopher scored this game last season. He had the highest XG in Serie A with 15.26 XG. He scored 10 goals.
It was Keane that had that.
No, it was Christopher. I think the year before was Keane. Zalewski needs to be a bit less selfish, I think. He moves really well, he dribbles well, he finds himself in space, but sometimes he looks for the shot instead of the pass, and that can be very frustrating. Zappacosta, how does he keep doing it, man? How does he keep doing it, this guy? Crazy. How old is Zappacosta now? He might not even be that old. Like, he's still running up and down.
He was at Chelsea, bro. 34.
34, not even that old. I mean, for a fullback.
1992.
That is old,
So
but
he turned 34 this year in June, 11th June. We missed your birthday, Zappa Costa.
sorry about that, my friend.
Happy birthday.
Tireless, fucking threatening, dangerous. He's a great player. To have a fun player.
Poor Bellanova, bro.
Poor
It's like,
Bellanova.
I'm gonna go there and like learn from Zappa Costa. He's on his way out. I'm on his way up. And it's still Zappa Costa starting time after time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Bernasconi on the other side.
Carnesecchi, as good as always, of course, lovely 1v1 save on Atsic. As for Sassuolo, I was impressed as always by Lauriente, who was lively and dangerous. He clipped the crossbar. He didn't miss a single game last season, Lauriente. But yeah, I think that's my take on this, man. The excessive faith in youth cost Sassuolo this match. And it was a match that wasn't exactly easy on the eye. There were 3 individual mistakes that cost the goal. That cost goals, that led to goals.
Completely. But again, you have growing pains versus an injury-ridden squad with a bunch of youth. So these are 2 teams that are going to be dark horses, as in Atalanta when it comes to the European conversation. Everyone's overlooking them because they're high and mighty and excited by the Romas, the Milans, the Inters, etc. So I think Atalanta have a strong opportunity, especially with the Lazio drop-off, that the inevitable one that will come, not yet. Sassuolo, with Aquilani, I see no reason that they shouldn't push for that 12th, 11th, 10th spot. But we'll see as they grow into the season, when they get Berardi back, when they bring Esposito in, when Tortsvet starts again, and once they get all these players back in, essentially.
Thijs, do you have any observations about these 2 teams?
I was impressed by both of them. I think for what they're trying to do and what they're doing, I think they both played very well. Like you mentioned earlier, it wasn't an easy game to watch, like easy on the eye. But I think it was still a fun game, and I have high hopes for Atalanta this season, honestly. They did impress me. For Sassuolo, I think it's just a thing of the team clicking together, especially with the young players.
Fair enough, yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. Let's jump to Bologna Lazio, and once again we're talking about 2 teams with new managers. That seems to be a bit of a theme in this episode, considering most of the teams in Serie A have new managers this season. 2 teams who the media seems to think will dip this season, Bologna and Lazio, who have operated pretty strangely in the market, but recently they made a few good acquisitions. Let's get into it. So 4-2-3-1 formation for Tedesco's men, with Skorupski in goal and the backline of Zortea, Helland, Hegem and Miranda. Ferguson and El Azuzi were in the double pivot, with Odgaard just ahead of them, with Cambiaghi on the left, Orsolini on the right, and Roberto Piccoli starting up front. Piccoli and Pinamonti, you think they know, like, and respect each other? For me, they just like, one gets transferred, the other gets transferred, the other one makes an upgrade, the other one makes an upgrade, one downgrades, the other one downgrades, one goes on loan, the other one goes...
For me, they have beef, and Pinamonti thinks he's much better than Piccoli, I would say. But in reality, they're not exactly.
No, Pinamonti strikes me somewhat more of an ego than Piccoli.
Yeah.
I say Piccoli's a hothead though, Don't
I think so, don't get in his face.
Don't piss him off, especially don't call him Piccolo. Why are you calling him Piccolo?
Did I call him Piccolo?
Fucking small man.
That's
His childhood, right?
What's it called? Harry Potter and the Malfoy scene. He comes like, "Hey, Piccolo." He's like, "Who you calling Piccolo?" Yeah.
All right, 4-3-3.
Excellent banter today.
Fantastic.
We're so back.
4-3-3 formation for the Rhinos men, with Mandas in goal.
For the Rhinos
men. Mandas in goal, backline of Marsic, Doki, Profstgard and Pedraza. Midfield trio of Delabashiru, Rovella and Kenneth Taylor. Cancelleri on the right, Zaccagni on the left, and Boulaye Dia Fikwa starting up front. In the 19th minute, an early injury blow, and probably the earliest injury this season so far. Marusic, who had been dealing well with Cambiaghi up until that point, went off injured just 15 to 19 minutes in, and he was replaced by Romano Floriani Mussolini. Yeah. Another young Italian talent, let's say it as it is, Romano Floriani.
Of course he is. Very exciting talent as well. Played really well at Juve Stabia.
Exciting. midway through the first half, Dia had a goal disallowed for offside after a ball over the top from Doki. At half-time, they went into the changing rooms at 0-0. Bologna edging the chances, but Lazio pretty well organised and quite dangerous on the break. In the 54th minute, Gattuso made his move, bringing off Dele Bashiru and bringing on new signing Davide Frattesi. And after 5 minutes, goal. Another one, man. Another substitution by a manager that worked immediately. Just 5 minutes after his introduction, Frattesi turns in a Boulaye Dia assist to break the deadlock. A move that started from a Lazio throw-in down the right-hand side. And this is exactly the type of player Lazio need. A player that when he comes on, or even if he's starting, he can get you a goal out of nothing. And I don't mean he's going to dribble a player and chip the keeper from 35 yards out. That's not what I mean. But you think there's an insignificant ball being played somewhere, and suddenly Frattesi is coming in like a fucking train and finishing it. He is so smart with his positioning. He reminds me of Pasalic.
He reminds me of Beavis.
Butthead. No, Beavis.
Beavis.
What a goal.
He does remind me of Beavis. In the meantime, think of who Butthead is while I go through all of this. Tedesco responded immediately with a triple change. Orsolini, Piccoli and Cambiaghi all came off and they were replaced by Bernardeschi, Dovbyk and Rowe as Bologna then chased an equaliser. And after the goal, it was all Bologna looking for the goal, man. And they created 3 huge chances, but Mandas, every single time, denied them brilliantly. He really, really was the man of the match, and he should make the headlines. He saved a free header from Odegaard, save of the season so far. The way that he got down, his reactions and reflexes were sensational, especially when you look at Mandas was starting 2 seasons ago because Provedel was flopping, and then last season Provedel was starting because of the new manager in Sarri, and now Provedel is off and Mandas is starting again. Mandas, the younger goalkeeper who can pull off these kind of saves, should have been playing last season as well. He's fantastic, man.
He kept them in the game.
And then, and not only is he a good shot stopper, and then there's a ball between him and Jonathan Rowe, probably closer to Jonathan Rowe. Jonathan Rowe's running up to the ball. If Jonathan Rowe connects with that, he's cunting it into the roof of the net. But Mandas throws himself at the ball. He doesn't mind if he's going to get kicked by Jonathan Rowe. Just brilliant goalkeeping over there. And then there was a well-struck free kick by Federico Bernardeschi where he got there a little bit late. Mandas had crept a little bit underneath him, and in fact I think he almost elbowed it into the post and out. So it wasn't the cleanest of saves, but he got there, and against many other keepers I think Bernardeschi would have had that in the back of the net. But then Lazio made some defensive changes and basically held on until the end. Mandas had one last acrobatic foot save at the end of the game just to, confirm his man of the match performance. But Lazio, when you look at last week, and they were knocked out of the Coppa Italia to second tier Mantova, and they hired Gattuso. Gattuso called that game, by the way, a punch in the face. Great way to start the season for Lazio, winning away to Bologna. Using the exact same starting 11, man, that lost to Mantova. That's crazy.
It is crazy, but the players looked inspired. I think Gattuso got through to them. Zaccagni, I haven't seen him play like this in a very long time. He looked fit, he looked eager. He didn't look as bashful as he's looked recently. By the way, Jonathan Rowe is on Atalanta's radar. Apparently, Bologna have already rejected a €35 million bid for him. I think that could be an interesting player for Sarri. But yes, for Lazio, man, Lazio have the opportunity to kind of win some fans over and kind of make the season something at least fun with this group of underdogs who can really embody the spirit of Gattuso, man. Yeah. The whole us against the world. It's going to be tough for them, but even the investments don't sound absolutely terrible. Like, Pinamonti's a decent piece for them. I know Dia as a standalone 9 isn't ideal. He's good as a support striker, as we saw clearly with how well he set up Frattesi for his goal. Having someone like Pinamonti, who's a bit more of an all-rounder, will help them.
Yes,
definitely. They might need a bit more. Frattesi hit the ground running
Frattesi improved
He's-
the team significantly.
And he's a guy with a lot of spirit and charisma and character that's almost infectious, you know. And
Yes.
even the way the other players respond to him, it seems to be palpable, his energy. You know, and even the Doki looked okay in his debut, so in his Serie A debut. So yeah,
I'm not gonna get high on
Not-
Lazio for
not high, and-
winning this game, but I think Frattesi matches the energy that the coach gives and that
Yeah.
the city gives. So I think he transforms this team, Frattesi. The striker situation for me, it's not very ambitious bringing in Pinamonti. Pinamonti has been on the verge of a big move forever,
But
and it
it's-
seems like it never comes about because he's not that level. But it shows the level at which the owner is okay with Lazio settling. Pinamonti, striker.
I mean, we know that Lotito has fucking abandoned his team, but Pinamonti's trajectory has always been on the up at a very reasonable rate. He never made a move that was too big for his boots. He's always gone up
But
steadily.
he's always been like
He's a 10-goal striker. You know, he's a 10-goal striker. That's
he's
what
a
he
bit
is.
selfish.
Uh-huh.
In many ways, I think Sassuolo won that deal by getting Seb Esposito. I prefer him to Pinamonti. I'm
Of
gonna be
course.
honest. I
Very
think
different.
he'll be better
Very
for
different.
Lazio than Pinamonti will
But
be.
they needed a 9, eh? They needed a proper 9.
Mhm.
That's it, because Ratkov is the only option, and apparently
Yeah. Well, we'll
he's
wait
only
and
good
see.
for friendlies,
He
Ratkov.
hasn't even put his Lazio shirt on, and I'm here saying it's not gonna work.
Yeah,
We're gonna-
he
we're
might
gonna
explode.
have
Who
to
knows?
Wait and see. But good to see two great individual performances in the first game for Lazio. Frattesi and Mandas were absolutely crucial in making the difference for Lazio in this game. When it comes to Bologna, I think similarly to last season, they struggled to create those really clear-cut opportunities, or at least put them away.
Putting them away, I
Putting
thought.
them away
Yeah.
because Castro was a good link-up play striker, a good hold-up striker. Wasn't by any means the greatest finisher, and that's the same with Piccoli. I mean, again, much like Pinamonti, Piccoli's in that same vein. I think we're gonna settle for the Piccoli level. But then there's Dovbyk on the bench, and I think Dovbyk has not world-class potential, but fucking
Yes, La Liga top
La
scorer
Liga top
potential.
scorer,
That's what he's
La Liga
done. Yeah.
potential, and he's a very well-rounded striker, and I'm excited to see him hitting the ground running. And when he does, I think this team could be a lot better because they had four great chances, but Mandas was just on top form.
Absolutely.
59% ball possession, 13 shots, 1.7 xG. So it's just a lack of killer instinct in their first game of the season against a Gattuso side. So hopefully it's onwards and maybe upwards for Bologna.
Yeah. Two teams who looked better than maybe people expected in their first game. You know, Bologna probably deserved a bit more, and Lazio managed to win against all odds when everyone was down on them. So that's
Long
massive.
season,
It
though.
is a long
It's
season.
long season.
Of course.
We'll see those bad investments, over 38 games.
And the lack of depth. Yeah, of course.
Lack of depth, yeah.
Yeah, indeed we will. Venezia 0, Lecce 2. Speaking of long season, but this is an immediate relegation 6-pointer, probably a decisive one. That will, one of these teams might finish in that last relegation spot.
17th, this is
Exactly,
the 17th, 18th.
literally. And Venezia haven't won their Serie A opener in 86 years. 1940 was the last time that they won their Serie A opener. It was a 1-0 victory over Inter. Since then, 3 draws and 10 defeats.
1940.
1940, yeah.
Jesus, man. What? Did that bomb land on the stadium halfway through the game and Venezia were winning?
Probably something like that, yeah. But early, no?
For a World War II joke?
No, for 1940.
Oh.
Is it early? When it was...
1939 to 1945 World War II.
Yo, he's hitting me with the dates. I'm bad with numbers.
World War II dates. 1939 to 1945. Come on!
So it could be. Yeah, maybe that's exactly what happened.
History or whatever.
Finn versus history. Venezia dominated possession this game and they had a lot of chances, but they were undone by Lecce's organisation and the 2 sharp goals in the second half. Venezia were missing Adorante and Zverko, while Lecce were missing Berisha. A big loss for Lecce, a very creative player, something that they struggle to have.
Because of Vladimiro Falcone as well, my guy.
Fucking incredible game, yes. Vladimiro Falcone was in goal for Lecce. Gallo, Seibert, Gaspar and Vega were at the back. Notice the absence of Thiago Gabriel. There's some transfer speculation about him. Notice how some key players are on the bench. It could be that they are protecting them and their market value. Perhaps Jonathan Rowe was another situation in the last one. Gorter, Ngom and Koulibaly were in the middle, with Pirotti on the right, Conan on the left and Goebbels up front. Speaking of the war. But anyway.
Good to see he's doing well after being kicked out of the Late Show.
Conan, yeah.
He's looking well.
He's looking good. A bit different, but good. Stankovic was in goal for Venezia in their 3-5-2 formation with Xingtian, Bella Kotchap and Franjic making the worst named back 3 of the match day so far. Yeah.
Xingtian is what a Maltese person would name their...
Xingtian is like if your dad's name is fucking Schindler and your other dad's name is Etienne.
Yeah, just go Xingtian.
Yeah.
Or Shinji and Etienne.
Yeah, fucking hilarious name. Hainut was on the right with Correa on the left. Perez, Buzio and Bazic were in the middle with Yeboah and Adams up front. Now, Venezia had a very strong first half. Correa thought he'd scored but was ruled out for a handball in the build-up. The first goal came just after halftime. It was a weak clearance from Bella Kotchap that fell to Olaf Gorter at the edge of the box, and his scuffed finish squeezed through a crowd of legs into the bottom corner to put Lecce ahead. Venezia thought they'd equalised through Toma Basic, but that goal was disallowed for offside. And then Thiago Gabriel, shortly after coming on, headed home Danilo Vega's cross from the left in the 80th minute. This was a very tough start for newly promoted Venezia. Despite controlling the game and having many chances, they realised that Lecce have the street smarts, and that's what they're up against. They're against a Lecce who are entering their 5th consecutive Serie A season in a row. So they've been here for a while now, and every single year everyone's like, they're going down, including us, they're going down, they haven't invested, they're going down. But their scouting remains on point and they do just enough to get over the line at the end of every season.
They've outlived Hellas Verona now. Well,
yeah.
They're still there. Hellas Verona were for a longer time, but Lecce are the new Hellas Verona now. They are, if you want survival, they are absolutely the team you have to beat. You have to beat Lecce if you want to survive.
Yeah.
And Venezia are off to a stinker by losing 2-0 against them at home.
Yeah.
It's incredibly humbling. This is one of the reasons where I always scratch my head and I can't believe when the coach that brings them up in Stroppa, we've seen him in Serie A. He hasn't done it in Serie A. I'm not counting him out at this stage, it's still very early, but it's Stroppa against Di Francesco. Di Francesco, okay, he's gotten multiple sides relegated in Serie A.
Funny that you should mention that. This was their 3rd meeting. And Di Francesco has beaten him 3 times.
Crazy.
Once with Sampdoria when Stroppa was at Crotone, 3-1. This was in 2019, in the Coppa Italia. And then the other time, Di Francesco was at Cagliari, while Stroppa was at Crotone, and he beat him 4-2. This was in 2020.
Crazy. But my point is, Serie A is a completely different ball game. When it comes to players, when it comes to managers, they've invested in the players. To me, it doesn't seem like they've invested in the coach. You're going to want a coach that in a situation where against Lecce they find themselves 1 goal down in the opener of the season, maybe he can do something about it.
Yeah.
Not saying Stroppa can't do that, but he's not experienced enough in Serie A to be able to, We're just seeing the shortcomings of that in match day 1. So
exactly.
We'll see what happens. I'm not going to get ahead of myself.
This was a very tragic loss, for them. I mean, there are, I think, 2 managers who stand out for their lack of experience, Alvini and Stroppa.
Exactly.
Alvini, it's only his 2nd season in Serie A. Of course, Alvini is the manager of Frosinone, guys, for those who don't know.
Alvini and what's his assistant? Alvini and the Chipmonkey.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
What a bloody header by Thiago Gabriel, bro. How he rose, the air he got. The air he got, massive finish.
Crazy. They've got like Gaspar, Siebert, and Thiago Gabriel. That's a decent selection for a small team like Lecce. But Thiago Gabriel is on his way out, no?
I think so, and I was a little bit worried. Granted, Gaspar didn't play against Palermo because Lecce lost to Palermo, right? And they got schooled by them in the Coppa Italia.
Yes.
And their backline looks really shaky, but it was much better this time round with Seibert and Gaspar. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure if they got a high offer for Thiago Gabriel, they'd let him go, man. To be honest with you, if they got
there are links to Milan.
Yeah.
For Thiago Gabriel.
They're trying for Ignacio or something first, apparently.
Ignacio first, and then potentially Thiago Gabriel. We'll keep you updated on that, of course.
A little bit disappointed by Adams, who did not play very well. I love watching Yeboah play for Venezia. He's really exciting. Buzio is all energy. He's a player who can do a job week in, week out. And I thought he was fine, bar some clumsy mistakes every now and then. I liked the way Venezia played, to be honest with you, but I think it's one of those situations, right? Stroppa was the manager of Crotone, where every single week we would say, I like the way they play, Simirwanko, Benali, I love the way they play, but they never win, right?
Exactly.
That might be the situation here.
That was Frosinone,
Exactly.
And then
Well,
4 years ago.
Exactly, when they had Sule.
Exactly.
This is the same. It's the complete opposite situation with Di Francesco, who has gone from being that guy to learning his lesson in pragmatism, and he's really grown at Lecce.
In fact, he was that guy at Frosinone.
He was, exactly.
Amazing.
Fucking crazy, full circle moment. Yes, respect Lecce, shout out Adam, our patron who supports Lecce.
Yes.
Massive victory for them. Not very impressed by Goebbels yet, but hopefully we'll see a bit more from him.
Now, Venezia,
3 massive points for them.
After losing a relegation 6-pointer to Lecce, need to play Milan in the San Siro on a Friday night.
Yes.
Sounds like a disaster for Milan.
Sounds like a nightmare for Milan. We'll see how that goes.
Last game, guys, we're going to be covering Parma 0, Cagliari 1. Another potential relegation 6-pointer. 2 teams that can push. Up 2 teams with 2 of the youngest managers in the league, of course, Pisacane and Cuesta. Good to see, after our predictions last season, that they're both still there, that they're trusted for another season. Although inexperienced, I'm very happy to see that. Parma lined up in a 4-3-3 formation with Corvi in goal, as Suzuki has left or is on his way out.
He's gone, I think.
It's Corvi in goal. Backline of Del Prato, Troilo, Ndai and Valeri. A midfield 3 of Ordonez, Konate and Bernabe, with Lontani on the left, Keita on the right and Toure up front. 4-2-3-1 for Pisaccane's men, Caprile in goal, backline of Zepedro, Deola, Rodriguez and Ober. Romano and Winks as a double pivot, with Adopo, Maldini and Fazzini playing behind Mendy. Now, both sides had their opportunities, but Cagliari got closer throughout the match, to be honest. Maldini had a strike early that brushed the outside of the post, and following that, Cagliari actually hit the post 3 times through Ndai, Deola and Fazzini. While I was watching this match, I didn't notice that Cagliari hit the post the first 2 times, because it always seemed to take a touch off the keeper and then brush the post. But yeah, they absolutely hit the post 3 times, and they were really threatening Cagliari and moving with authority. Not urgency, but authority. It was then, finally, however, in the 79th minute that the moment of magic that was needed came for Cagliari. It was Adopo that laid the ball off for Alessandro Romano, who drilled a left-footed strike from outside the box beyond Corvi and straight into the top corner. It's the first goal by a Swiss player ever in Cagliari's history, and it's his first goal on his debut. Very, very nice to see.
Swiss-Italian.
Parma threw on some fresh legs in around the 85th minute, like Cremaschi and Alphadjo, in search of an equaliser, while Cagliari made a late defensive change where Ober came off for Aurelio to see out the game. Parma had got close from a Valeri free kick with Alphadjo after Alphadjo headed it over from a good position, but nowhere near that Parma that would whip the ball into the noggin of Pellegrino. They're not quite there yet. There are a few growing pains. It was a huge win for Cagliari, this early on, much like the win for Lecce. They already have a direct encounter over their opponents. And keep in mind, this is a squad that is dealing with real off-field weight, and it is a real off-field weight because Treppi suffered a swimming pool accident a week before the game and was placed in an induced coma. He came out of intensive care actually a day before kickoff.
Oh wow, he was in the ICU for that long?
Yes. These are according to the report.
Jesus Christ. This was an accident in a pool.
I know. Pretty crazy. The worst that happened to me in a pool was an ear infection. So very different, I guess. But the celebration was nice, of course, with the shirt, Yael on it. This is all motivation, brings about togetherness. Of course, it's a shit situation, but it's when a team becomes a team, eh?
It is.
It could be when a team crumbles as well. You look at Fiorentina last season, crumbled after losing their owner. But Cagliari really took this in their stride. They got a win. He'd be happy. They're thrilled. Of course, we need to shout out Alessandro Romano, man.
Yeah, what a goal and what a debut. Massively, that's exactly what you'd want, man. Pisacane puts his trust in a young kid like that, and he rewards him immediately. That's beautiful. I think we're going to see another season, bro, of Parma playing for set pieces, trying to play to win those free kicks, whipping the ball in, trying to get on the end of it, tightly marking the goalkeeper, you know what I mean? Yes. These dark arts. I think we're in for another season of this. I mean, Cuesta found good success last year doing it.
Cuesta was formerly Mikel Arteta's right-hand man. And he was a big part of how Arsenal operated off the ball and from set pieces. He was part of the Arteta masterclass. So that's his fingerprint.
Yes.
The way he's going to get this team to play. Losing Pellegrino's fucking massive for him.
It is. It's terrible, bro, to be honest. But then...
isn't exact Baloture, Madonna.
El Bilal. Baloture is the Milan one, yeah. Oh my God, he won the league. He won the league with Milan. Crazy, he's good at the winner. El Bilal Toure was Atalanta's highest transfer that they made. They broke the record to get him. So he's no joke. I think if he settles, they might have a good player there.
And I mean, signed by Atalanta originally.
Exactly, the Atalanta stamp of approval.
Top striker. I just want to highlight 1 second, sorry, while we were on Alessandro Romano.
Please.
Again, if you want to learn about the profiles of this player, go back to our transfer segments. We clearly took you through the 20-year-old Swiss with an Italian passport through his parents. Left-footed midfielder, mainly defensive midfielder. He is on loan from Roma with an obligation to buy for 5 million plus 1.5 million in add-ons. He was born in Winterthur, next like Jon Snow or some shit. What the hell is Winterthur? He came up through Roma's academy since 2022, and he is the son of a Swiss footballer named Umberto Romano. He made 2 senior appearances for Roma last season. He debuted on the 6th of January 2026 against Lecce before a mid-season loan at Spezia. He's a metronome, he has a clean first touch, and he has a fantastic clean left foot. Remember that part. We said he has a fantastic clean left foot, and in the first game of the season he scores with a fantastic clean left-footed strike. So, yeah.
Should the keeper have done better? It was a bit weak. It was a good strike, but he got it quite out of his hand on it.
The keeper was softer in Çalhanoğlu.
Yeah.
This was more top corner, less.
But Çalhanoğlu's had more power, I remember.
Also, I don't think he was expecting that left-footed bomba from this Alessandro Romano.
Yeah.
So he must have caught him off guard.
Absolutely.
There as well. Of course, Sebastiano Esposito was frozen out over a contract dispute. Jake, you were telling me he wasn't turning up to training.
Dude, he didn't provide a medical certificate.
I'd be done if I did that.
I'd be rest in peace.
Nothing. I'm joking.
You'd be something without a medical certificate.
Yes, to be honest. Sometimes I forget to ask. Come on.
Hello, doc. That's it. That's we've done everything, right?
Well, like I mentioned, so Esposito, of course, frozen out due to the contract dispute. Sassuolo are in pole position for a signature. It's pretty much done. Just about Parma, yes, Jake, you're correct to say it's a lot of playing for set pieces, my least favorite kind of football. But they did press well and they created early volume. They had 7 first half shots, but they didn't really translate to quality. They weren't quality chances either. It's a clear sign that the squad is missing that clinical focal point up front. El Bilature is a good striker. Is he that focal point? That's what we need to see moving forward.
Yeah.
They also had a few injuries. Am I correct to say? Unless I'm going to say
Parma.
Ciuciata.
So Parma were missing Bridgegi because of accumulation of yellows, and Baloch as well. His injury. Caviglia is a big
Caviglia
player.
is the set piece guy.
Exactly.
Pellegrino's the header guy.
Yeah.
But yes.
And then just one little point on Cagliari. Cagliari are chameleon. You never know what they're going to look like, and depending on their opponent, they look different.
Yeah.
And I love that about Pisacane, that he'll play different players and different systems against different teams. I think that's literally what a coach is meant to do. But anyway, yeah.
Amazing. Yes, but that's it for the match coverage. So I guess we can jump into our... Shall we start with the fantasy?
Let's start with the fantasy.
Amazing.
So for this one, Thijs, you can pull up Tattico. And we can see the table and react to some of the funny names, etc., etc.
Yes, that would be great. I can open it up here as well, just in case Thijs wants to do that.
You can overlay it, right?
In editing stage. So let me just log in over here and we can react. Yeah. Leagues. The Spothead League, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to jump in, to be honest.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, we have our fantasy league called the Spothead League. It is of course brought to you by Tattico. It is the platform that we play it on, and let's just say I am not too pleased with the way that I have started this season at all. So I decided to be bold and captain Ramos. Should have captained, hat-trick scorer Daniel Malen, and that puts my team, Tiamo Rimjob, in 37th place on 48 points. It's still early days. There are people, that are 20 places ahead of me that are just 5 points ahead of me.
Yeah.
So
Where are you, bro?
I am in 37th place.
37. Oof. And I thought I was bad in 21st.
And how many points are you on?
59.
59, so you're 11 points ahead of me.
Yeah, my team is called the Adams family because I've taken Adams as a striker for 4.5 million.
Very creative.
Yeah. But shout out to Malen Airlines, of course. First, that's Stewart. He captained Malen and he is first with 80 points. Then we have Abate Borisov, Kurt Sultana, and second, amazing Kurt. I saw him in Gozo 2 days ago. It was really random.
Abate Borisov is amazing.
It's what a name. Katsonaccio. Brandon, great name as well. Amazing in third place with 78 points. Smells like Teen Sarri. Not quite sure about that one. Mira Hotovek. It's a little bit sus, but great name. Salnat's team. Salnat. Very creative.
Salnat, wow.
Barella Legal. Peter Uni. Another sus one.
You've got to squint a bit, but you get there. Pietro is fantastic at
naming his teams, eh?
Not only
and at fantasy football.
Fantasy football, man.
Absolutely, he's back. He's back for his title. He was in the first time Joey D won it. He was very close. The next one.
So Joey D is
yeah, Joey D is next.
Shout out the next one, so then we get to
Bremer. I barely know her. Oh, that amazing team.
Brilliant.
Bremer.
I barely know her.
The old ladies, Steve Colero.
Yes, we will skip the Skugmen by, of course, Douglas John Baresse.
Careful if they have the same names, they might come up in a different order.
What?
If they have different names but the same, if they have the same points, they might come up in a different order.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, my bad.
But yes, anyway, no problem. So there's the old ladies, that's Steve Colero on 8th. Great start, Steve. The Skugmen, that's Douglas, coming in hot, new patron, 74 points over there. Som and Jerry, Pablo,
Amazing.
Brilliant, love it,
Amazing.
73 points. And then the rest don't deserve a shout out because they're not in the top 10, including us, bro.
Milik These Nuts is great by Isaac. Sarah got off to a good start in 17th place, the love of your life, Jake, with Yearning for Yildiz.
Indeed.
It's always her adoring another man, unfortunately.
Yes.
But Daddy, I love Skamakka last year, Yearning for Yildiz this year, and Yildiz is yearning for you because he just called in sick for 2 months. Amorim Ruby by Alan is another great name.
Another good one is Today I Feel Gay. Carne Sexy. Inter Milan.
Carne Sexy is a pod reference.
It is. There are quite a few pod references. They're hilarious. But anyway.
His Wet Dream. Charlie Kirkes.
What? Charlie Kirkes is unbelievable. Who's that? Massimo? Amazing Massimo.
Inglorious Bastonis is brilliant.
Yeah. False 9 to 5. I like that as well.
Greek God in Canada. Great names all around. Guys, if you're not a spothead, you can still play Tattico with us. We just have a different fantasy league for it with no prize up for grabs, but it's fun. It's good fun and it's good practice before you become a patron next year, please and thank you. And if you want to keep tabs on how these brilliant names are doing in this little mini league of ours, follow us on social media because we post weekly. We post the table weekly, so you get to see all the drama unfolding. And if there are any funny moments on the group chat, that will be part of the swipe as well. Thank you, Tattico, as always, for providing us with the platform to play and the customized league. I really recommend Tattico. But yes, we can jump on to our next segment.
Yes. Welcome back to Quindici, the segment where your favorite hosts take on each other in a betting challenge where we all start with €15 each. Last week we had the first match day and we all won, but some of us more than others. Tyson is currently first with €33.92.
Jeez, man.
Jake, I'm in second with €20.36, and then Matthew, the conservative, is third with €17.85. Tyson, remind us what your bet was last week, please.
So last week I went for under 2.5 goals in the Udinese Como game. I went for Napoli win, and I went Torino, Milan, both teams to score.
Absolutely delicious picks all round and unbelievable.
The last minute with that bizarre Shea Adams goal, man.
I was sure he was down and out by that point. But respect to you, Thais. That was a bold first bet and it paid off.
I really thought I was gonna lose it all, but then Shea Adams saved my night.
Yeah, my bet, of course, was a little bit safer, and by a little bit I mean much safer. I had Inter to win and over 1 goal to be scored against Monza, and Juve to win against Frosinone. And that was quite straightforward, I would say, as there were early goals in both games. I didn't really have any scares, and I'm up to 20-36. Will I be bolder this week? You will find out very soon.
Well, very similar odds, but you just placed a higher amount there, because I placed 250 on Inter to beat Monza, on Juve to beat Frosinone, and Napoli to win or draw against Genoa. I bet 250 and I returned 535. So marathon, not a sprint, but Tyson is sprinting at the get-go, and he is a kilometer ahead of both of us.
Speaking of Tyson, who is sprinting, I'm very curious to hear your bet for this week, for match day 2, Tyson, please.
So first of all, I'm going to tell you the amount this week. The 33.92 was a bit annoying, so I just took the €3.92, and I'm going to put those straight into the bet to even out my number. I'm going for over 2.5 goals in the Milan Venezia game at 1.75 odds. And then I'm going to go for a very simple and safe one, under 3.5 goals in the Napoli Como game on Sunday, which was at 118 odds. Together, that was €2.06, and I can win with €3.92. I can win €8.09.
That's smart.
It is a smart bet, huh? Smart bet.
Because you started strong, and now you can be a little bit more conservative with at least the amount that you actually put in, the 3.92 or whatever.
Yeah.
I like the bets as well. I don't think Como Napoli will be high scoring at all.
I tend to agree. They're good. They're good. They're good. Before I pose the question, will I be bolder this time, match day 2? The answer is a resounding no. I am an Allegri fan. All right. This is how I bet. All right. I have.
What's the amount?
So I put €10.
Okay.
I put €10, but the bet is really safe.
Okay.
I put €10 to win 22-31. The odds are 2.23, of course. I did Lazio or draw versus Genoa. Inter to beat Cagliari, and over 1 goal in Milan Venezia.
How much will you win?
22-31 from 10.
Okay. Also good. I have remained the most conservative so far.
Really?
Because I started at 250, now I've gone up to 5.
Okay.
I went from 5 to 10,
Yes.
I went from 250 to 5. I went Inter to beat Cagliari. Although it's in Sardinia, it's going to be a tough game, but I went Inter and Milan to both win. Inter over Cagliari, Milan over Venezia. And then I went draw Udinese against Monza. So I placed €5, and that would return 12.58 for me. Yeah, pretty safe as well, I would say.
Exciting stuff, huh?
Very exciting.
How confident are you in your bet for the upcoming week?
I almost feel like something is going to go wrong. I typically don't like to bet. Like there was Roma away to Lecce, and there was Inter away to Cagliari. Those are the kind of bets that I avoid. So I had to choose one, and I replaced that with the draw Udinese against Monza. Which I think is quite a safe one, draw Udinese. Milan against Venezia. Of course, Venezia lost their opener to Lecce, and they were very disappointing. Milan won quite well against Torino. Inter are worrying me a little bit because I know Cagliari can be a tough side to play against in their stadium, but overall I'm quite confident.
It'll be a test, but from what we've seen, Inter are very high octane. We just don't know what version of Cagliari we're going to get. As we discussed, they are a chameleon of a team, so they might go man for man and make life hell for Inter, but I think with the quality we've seen, it should be quite straightforward. And not to mention, Inter usually blow away the smaller teams. They struggle against the bigger ones. True. So that should be okay. Thijs, how are you feeling about yours?
I'm feeling quite confident. I feel like I went way more conservative than last week, but I think I'm going to do it. Under 3.5 goals in Napoli Como is doable. I think it's going to be a boring 1-1 or 0-0, even I think. And I think Milan is going to blow Venezia out of the water on Friday.
Amazing. Thank you very much, guys. And don't forget to tune in next week to see our reaction to our wins/losses.
Thank you very much, guys. See you next week.